Chapter 1023. Young Master. After a while, the vast aura on Shuiwei's body returned to normal. Her eyes were filled with surprise as she rushed over and hugged Ling Xiao. Young Master, you're fine. That's great. Shuiwei murmured softly. Shuiwei, I'm fine. Everything is over. Do you know what happened to your body? Ling Xiao patted Shuiwei's back, and the fragrance of her virginity wafted into Ling Xiao's nose. Feeling the warmth in his arms, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of warmth. That's strange. Shuiwei's reincarnation physique hasn't been fully awakened? That's strange. Is it because she's in the mortal world and can't sense the laws of the godly realm? At this moment, Zhu Gonglie's surprised voice was heard. The reincarnation physique hasn't been fully awakened? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that Shuiwei's aura was very strong. However, there seemed to be an even more terrifying power hidden in her body that she hadn't absorbed or refined. You're saying that I have the reincarnation physique? How is that possible? Isn't the 9 nether bloodline in my body? Shuiwei suddenly trembled. Her face turned pale and her eyes were filled with disbelief. Shuiwei had always thought that she had the 9 nether bloodline in her body. Even in the past month, under the protection of the bronze coffin, the power in her body had awakened. Shuiwei had always thought that it was the power of the 9 nether bloodline. However, the words reincarnation physique seemed to have triggered a nerve in her, causing her face to turn pale. Shuiwei, what's wrong? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Young Master, the Samsara Temple has been passed down for millions of years. There have been hundreds of generations of Samsara saintesses. It is said that only the first Samsara saintess had the reincarnation physique. The subsequent Samsara saintesses all refined the godhead of the first Samsara saintess and were able to use part of the power of Samsara. They didn't have the reincarnation physique. Shuiwei said slowly. Her face turned even paler. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Shuiwei's words were obvious. The previous Samsara saintess, who was Shuiwei's mother, couldn't have the reincarnation physique. However, Shuiwei had the reincarnation physique. There were only 2 possibilities. First, Shuiwei's father was the reincarnation physique. Secondly, the previous saintess of Samsara was not Shuiwei's mother. The saintess is right. The previous saintess of Samsara had the bloodline of 9 serenities, but she didn't have the saintess of Samsara. An old man sighed. The great elder walked over from afar with a hint of excitement and joy in his eyes. Oh, could it be that the great elder knew something? Who was the husband of the previous generation's saintess? Ling Xiao asked the great elder. The first elder sighed and shook his head. Actually, the previous saintess of Samsara did not have a husband. So the saintess is not the daughter of the previous saintess of Samsara. First elder's words caused Shuiwei to involuntarily tremble all over. Ling Xiao supported Shuiwei and stared at the first elder with a burning gaze. How did the first elder know? Furthermore, the previous saintess of Samsara died in the war god Great World. How would Great Elder know if the previous saintess of Samsara gave birth to a child in the war god Great World? This matter concerned Shuiwei's background. Even Ling Xiao had to be cautious. Because before the previous saintess of Samsara died, she sent back a message with a divine thought that recorded some secret information. Therefore, I am certain that Shuiwei is not the daughter of the previous saintess of Samsara. What? Great Elder, why have you never told me this before? Shuiwei exclaimed in shock. Her expression was extremely ugly. She had never heard of this before. The Great Elder took a deep breath. His eyes were filled with incomparable agitation. Saintess, please listen to my explanation. Everyone knows that the first saintess of Samsara established the Samsara Temple and passed down the empire of 9 serenities and the 10 kings of the 10 halls. However, no one knows that the first saintess of Samsara had a daughter. However, the battle a million years ago was too tragic. Even the first saintess of Samsara could not protect herself, let alone her daughter. Before the first saintess of Samsara died, she sealed her daughter away. However, no one knows where she is. The Samsara Temple is not only responsible for defending against the demon race. In the past million years, all the saintesses have been searching for the first saintess of Samsara's daughter. Unfortunately, After 1,000,000 years of searching and turning the entire samsara world upside down, we still could not find her. 10,000 years ago, before the previous saintess of samsara died, she sent back a message telling me that she had found the first saintess of samsara's daughter in the war god Great World. However, because the first saintess of samsara's daughter had just broken free from the seal and lost all her cultivation, she was targeted by the enemy. Therefore, before the previous saintess of samsara died, she used her origin energy and countless treasures to seal her daughter away. She also added a layer of seal to her memory. At the same time, she told us to go to the war god continent's 8 desolates region 10,000 years later, to bring the first saintess of samsara back, and inherit the position of saintess. 10 years ago, the samsara beast brought the saintess back. However, after our inspection, we found that the saintess did not have the saintess of samsara. Therefore, I kept this matter to myself and did not say anything. Who would have thought that the saintess of samsara would finally awaken the saintess of samsara? At the end of his speech, the great elder was already in tears. His voice was choked with emotion. So Shuewei is the first saintess of samsara's daughter, and her memory has been tampered with. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. That's right. Shuewei is indeed the first saintess of samsara's daughter, and the true master of the samsara temple. Her memory has not been tampered with, it has been sealed. When the saintess fully awakens the saintess of samsara, the sealed memory will naturally return to her. The great elder took a deep breath and said. Shuewei's face was pale without a trace of blood. She obviously could not accept this result. Shuewei had finally accepted her identity, but now, the great elder said that Shuewei's background and memory were fake. If it was an ordinary person, they would have broken down long ago. However, Shuewei could not blame anyone. Her body was cold as she held Ling Zhao's hands tightly. Her eyes were filled with heart-wrenching pain, as if she was grabbing onto her last life-saving straw. Shuewei, be good. Everything will pass. Now that we know about your background, although it is cruel, you must be strong. Do you understand? Ling Zhao caressed Shuewei's hair tenderly as he pulled her into his embrace and spoke gently. If Shuewei is the first saintess of samsara's daughter, does the great elder know who Shuewei's father is? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he stared at the great elder. Chapter 1024. The first elder bitterly smiled and shook his head. I don't know about this, but I have some guesses. Legend has it that 1,000,000 years ago, the war god of the war god Great World, and the first reincarnation saintess had a very good relationship. They fought side by side. With the first reincarnation saintess status, if she had a husband, I'm afraid only the war god would be worthy of her. You mean the scarlet dragon god of war? Ling Zhao's eyes widened in shock, revealing a trace of horror in them. If what first elder said was true, then Shuewei was the daughter of the scarlet dragon god of war, and the first saintess of samsara. This news was too shocking. Moreover, Ling Zhao remembered that in the war god world, the war god temple would do anything to catch Luoluo. They believed that Luoluo was the daughter of the scarlet dragon god of war. Between Shuewei and Luoluo, who was the daughter of the scarlet dragon god of war, the truth was getting more and more confusing. First elder, do you know how many children the first saintess of samsara and the scarlet dragon god of war had? Ling Zhao asked quickly. First elder said slowly, it's been too long. But it's rumored that the first saintess of samsara only had one daughter. Only one daughter? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He slowly said, Great elder, you know that I am from the war god Great World. And in the war god Great World, there is a suspected daughter of the scarlet dragon war god. She has always been pursued by the war god temple. Her name is Luoluo. Ling Zhao told first elder about Luoluo. There's such a thing? The grand elder was shocked as well. First elder thought for a while and said seriously, Young friend Ling, the daughter of the first saintess of samsara must be Shuewei, and she must have the saintess of samsara. As for the girl named Luoluo, I don't know who she is. If you have any questions, you can investigate carefully. This was very important to both Shuewei and Luoluo. Ling Zhao nodded. Only after he returned to the war god Great World would he be able to find out the truth. Saintess, the first saintess of samsara left a place. Perhaps you should go and take a look. First elder looked at Shuewei and said slowly, "What place?" Shuewei said calmly, but her long eyelashes trembled. "I don't know. It's a sealed space that can only be opened by the body of reincarnation. There should be something left for you by your mother." The great elder sighed and said, "All right." Shuewei nodded. Under the lead of the first elder, Ling Xiao and Shuewei arrived at the waist of the mountain. The surroundings were filled with clouds and mist. There was a cave halfway up the mountain. An ancient stone door was tightly sealed, and it was emitting an incomparably powerful energy fluctuation. Reincarnation realm. Shuewei looked at the 3 words above the cave, and was slightly lost in thought. "Young master, can you accompany me in?" Shuewei suddenly felt a little scared as she grabbed Ling Xiao's hand tightly. "All right, I'll accompany you." Ling Xiao smiled. "No." The first elder suddenly spoke up to stop him. "Saintess, young friend Ling, only those with the reincarnation's sacred physique can enter the reincarnation cave. Others can't enter at all. If you force your way in, I'm afraid you'll be in big trouble." The first elder's eyes were filled with solemnity. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he carefully looked at the reincarnation cave. He was proficient in array formations. After a careful look, he realized that this place indeed required some kind of special bloodline power to open. Even if Shuewei wanted to bring him along, he probably couldn't enter. "All right. Shuewei, listen to me. Go in yourself. There shouldn't be any danger here. There should be some information about your background inside." Ling Xiao smiled. "Young master, I have a premonition that if I enter this reincarnation cave, I'm afraid I won't be able to come out in a short period of time. Young master will find Grandpa Zhu when the time comes. He will bring you back to the war god great world. Young master, you don't have to wait for me. I only hope that young master can find Sister Jean Sei as soon as possible. After I come out of seclusion, I'll definitely go to the war god great world to find young master." Shuewei suddenly turned around and said. Her eyes were filled with reluctance to part with him. "All right. Shuewei, I'll wait for you here for a month. After a month, if you still haven't come out, I'll return to the war god great world first. There are still a few demon gods left in the sealed land. I'll take care of them along the way. I can rest assured that you're in seclusion here." Ling Xiao nodded. Now that the matters in the reincarnation world had been settled, Shuewei wouldn't be in any danger even if she stayed behind. On the contrary, the war god great world was filled with danger. The current war god was unfathomable. Even Ling Xiao wasn't confident that he could defeat him now. It was safer for Shuewei to stay here. "Young master, you must take care of yourself." Shuewei looked deeply at Ling Xiao before turning around and walking towards the reincarnation cave. Buzz. Shuewei's body emitted streaks of black reincarnation divine light. The entire reincarnation cave trembled slightly. Finally, the 3 words on the reincarnation cave spewed out multicolored light. It was dazzling and instantly enveloped Shuewei. Shuewei disappeared before everyone's eyes. Ling Xiao looked at the place where Shuewei disappeared, and suddenly felt a sense of loss. Next, King Chujiang and Chu Qianqian came to bid farewell to Ling Xiao. With the 9 Nether Emperor and the 9 Hall Kings killed, the reincarnation world would definitely fall into chaos. However, the reincarnation temple didn't intend to interfere and let it develop. After all, after the devil race in the sealed land was completely settled, the reincarnation temple didn't need to control the world anymore. King Chujiang also intended to pass the throne to Chu Qianqian. On the top of the mountain, clouds drifted. Ling Xiao and Chu Qianqian stood side by side. "Ling Xiao, I didn't expect you to be from the war god great world. You came to my reincarnation world and killed the gods and devils. You're already the #1 person in the reincarnation world. Congratulations." Chu Qianqian looked at Ling Xiao with a complicated gaze. "Princess Qianqian is too kind. After this farewell, I don't know when we'll meet again. I would like to ask Princess Qianqian for a favor." Ling Xiao smiled. "Oh, what's the matter?" "Lu Shui, of the Xianping tribe, has helped me. She's in the Chujiang royal region. Princess Qianqian has seen her before. I hope Princess Qianqian can help me take care of her." Chu Qianqian smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'll take good care of her. Thank you very much. The road is long. Princess Qianqian will meet again. Ling Xiao cupped his hands and bowed to Chu Qianqian. We'll meet again. Chu Qianqian looked at Ling Xiao deeply. There was a hint of resentment in her eyes. It was as if she wanted to engrave him in her heart forever. Then, she gently turned and left. Master, according to the words of the human race, you've betrayed another woman who loves you. Zhu Ganglai appeared behind Ling Xiao and said slowly. Ling Xiao's body stiffened. Then he turned around and glared at Zhu Ganglai. What do you know? Meeting is better than reminiscing. This affection is too heavy. I can't accept it. How can you say that I betrayed her? Besides, what does that mean? Ling Xiao smiled bitterly in his heart. How could he not see Chu Qianqian's affection? But he really couldn't accept it. Now his heart couldn't hold anyone else other than Jin Se. Zhu Ganglai said innocently. Master seems to be affectionate, but your heart is actually very hard. Can't you see that Shui Wei likes you too? Or are you deliberately pretending not to see it? Ling Xiao's body trembled. He couldn't help but be stunned. Chapter 1025. Did Shui Wei like Ling Xiao? The answer to this question was very clear. Ling Xiao knew it himself, but he had been deceiving himself and avoiding it. After his rebirth, Shui Wei could be said to be the person closest to Ling Xiao. She had accompanied Ling Xiao for more than 10 years. No matter how lonely or difficult it was, no matter if Ling Xiao was a good-for-nothing or a genius, Shui Wei had always treated him wholeheartedly. Ling Xiao, who had separated from his parents very early on, had only had Shui Wei as his only source of warmth and light in the long night. Therefore, to a certain extent, Shui Wei was even more important than his parents in this life. Since Ling Xiao had awakened the memories of his previous life, he cherished this pure feeling even more. He cherished Shui Wei and cared for and cherished her as if she was his biological sister. However, there was always one person in Ling Xiao's heart that he loved the most. That person whom he had been separated from for more than 10,000 years, whom he had missed day and night. Jin Se. Ever since he knew that Jin Se was in the Origin Sea, Ling Xiao's motivation and goal for cultivation had been to enter the Origin Sea as soon as possible and meet Jin Se. This time, he had come to the reincarnation world by chance and found Shui Wei. Ling Xiao could feel that kind of feeling from Shui Wei. Although she carefully hid it, she could not hide the joy and love that overflowed from her gentle eyes. How could Ling Xiao not be moved? However, he carried too much on his shoulders and could not let Jin Se down. Therefore, he could only harden his heart and pretend that he did not know Shui Wei's feelings. You stupid pig, you know so much. However, I have no choice. Zai, get ready. We will go to the sealed place, and then return to the war god Great World. Ling Xiao glared at Zhu Ganglai. In the end, he could only laugh helplessly. Yes. Zhu Ganglia's eyes rolled around as he chuckled. Before Shui Wei entered the time cave, she had left the reincarnation platform behind. The reincarnation platform was a supreme treasure that could lead to the reincarnation world and the sealed place. It contained the secrets of time and space and was very powerful. Moreover, with the reincarnation platform, even if a demon god broke out of the seal, he would not be able to enter the reincarnation temple. Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai led the Samsara army and the many experts of the Pangu clan into the sealed land in a formidable array. Originally, Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai could have swept through the entire sealed land. However, this time, they wanted to bring the Samsara army and Pangu clan experts here to train their troops. They wanted to completely annihilate the devil tribe in the sealed land. After the strongest dark sky demonic god was killed by Ling Xiao, only 8 demonic gods were still hiding in the seal, struggling to survive. Ling Xiao's wordless heavenly book had been severely damaged because of the suppression of the origin demon bone. At this moment, he could refine these demon gods to replenish his energy. Within a month, Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai killed the 8 great demon gods one by one, and all of them were devoured and refined by the wordless heavenly book. The Samsara army and the experts of the Pangu clan also destroyed the 10 devil tribes, and the flesh, blood, and primordial spirits of all the devil tribes were devoured and refined by the wordless heavenly book. The flesh, blood, and primordial spirits of the 8 great demon gods, and tens of millions of devil tribe experts were a feast for the wordless heavenly book, and its damaged energy began to gradually recover. In the end, Ling Xiao searched through the sealed land, and in addition to the devil seal tablets that Shuiwei had given him, he gathered a total of 600 devil seal tablets. After these 600 devil seal tombstones were gathered, they actually merged together and formed a black devil seal tombstone. Its aura was extremely powerful, and it contained a powerful sealing force. Moreover, Ling Xiao could faintly feel that this devil seal tablet was not complete. If he could gather enough devil seal tablets and merge them into it, it would definitely be an unimaginable treasure. Ling Xiao carefully inspected the devil seal tombstone before putting it away. Master, these demonic gods are really aggrieved. The weakest of them is in the divine spirit realm, and most of them are in the true god realm. Even the dark sky demonic god was an expert in the divine god realm. It's a pity that he was severely injured and sealed here for 1,000,000 years. His cultivation is not even 1% of his original. That's why they all died in your hands. Zhu Ganglai sighed softly. Are you saying that I'm not strong enough, so I took advantage of them? Ling Xiao glanced at him and said, Hee, how would I dare? Master is wise and mighty, and your combat power is extraordinary. You can already kill gods in the mortal realm. This kind of peerless talent is also rare in the divine world. Isn't it easy to kill a few small gods? However, if that demonic god king is really sealed in the war god great world, Master must be careful. Zhu Ganglai chuckled. However, when he mentioned that demonic god king, his eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and said, Oh, is that demonic god king very powerful? Not just ordinary powerful, but extremely powerful. The Scarlet Dragon War God and the first-generation reincarnation saintess were strong enough, right? They were also in the Divine King realm. Unfortunately, they were unable to kill that demonic god king, and could only seal him. Among the 10 great demonic god kings 1,000,000 years ago, this one was the strongest. Zhu Gonglia's eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. What's his name? Ling Xiao asked faintly. Bo Sun. Zhu Ganglai solemnly spat out 2 words. Bo Sun? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. He felt that this name seemed to have a mysterious power. That's right. Back then, Bo Sun was known as one of the peerless geniuses of the demon realm. He was known as a peerless powerhouse who would definitely be able to prove his Tao and become a saint. He even had hopes of becoming a demon emperor. Zhu Ganglai said slowly. Then, after being sealed for 1,000,000 years, how much strength do you think he has left? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This was also the question he was most concerned about. Divine King was the peerless king of the divine world. It sounded somewhat despairing. The difference between humans and gods was like the difference between heaven and earth. It was almost impossible for a mortal realm powerhouse to defeat a divine spirit, let alone a divine king powerhouse. The demonic god king is unfathomable. Even if he only has a 10,000th of his strength left, killing the dark sky demon god would be like slaughtering a dog. There was a trace of worry in Zhu Gonglia's eyes as he said solemnly. Although he didn't say it clearly, Ling Xiao understood that if the demonic god king broke out of the seal, it would be very easy for him to kill Ling Xiao. This question sounded despairing. Then, who would be able to fight against the demonic god king? Then, how can we kill the demonic god king? Ling Xiao asked calmly. Master has the wordless heavenly book, which can greatly restrain the demonic god king. However, this is not enough. I estimate that even if the demonic god king's strength is less than 100%, Master must at least break through to the divine realm to be able to fight him. Zhu Ganglai said. Break through to the divine realm? The divine realm's gate is closed. Can one really become a god in this mortal world? Chapter 1026. It's almost impossible. But Zhu Ganglai was hesitant. But what? Ling Xiao asked. In the mortal world, there is still a chance to become a god. That is the path of becoming a god with one's physical body. Zhu Ganglai said slowly. Becoming a god with one's physical body? That's right. The physical body can break the limits of heaven and earth, shatter the vacuum, and penetrate the realm of gods. However, Becoming a god with one's physical body is more difficult than becoming a god with laws. Even in the realm of the gods, very few people take this path, let alone in the mortal world. All right. I understand. Ling Zhao's eyes glinted as he nodded his head. Zhu Ganglai seemed to have seen through Ling Zhao's thoughts and reminded him. Master, I know that your physical body is very strong. You have the bloodline of the Dragon Clan, and the supreme technique of the Dragon Clan. However, it's far from enough to become a god with your physical body. You must break the limits of your physical body. Although it's difficult to become a god with one's physical body, one's strength is terrifying. Legend has it that a god with one's physical body can defeat anyone in the same realm as him. Ling Xiao looked at Zhu Ganglai and asked, I see that your physical body is very strong, even stronger than mine. Are you taking the path of becoming a god with your physical body? Zhu Ganglai laughed bitterly and said, How is that possible? The path of becoming a god with one's physical body is too difficult. Even I can't do it. It's just that our clan's physical body is stronger. Moreover, after breaking through to the realm of the gods, the divine law and the endless divine spiritual energy will nourish the physical body, making it stronger and stronger. It's not much different from becoming a god with one's physical body. Therefore, very few people would take the effort to become a god with their physical body. Alright, I understand. Let's leave the sealed land first. Ling Xiao nodded and said. He bade farewell to the great elder and the many experts of the Pango clan, and asked them to continue to wipe out the demons and kill any that escaped. Then he returned to the Samsara temple with Zhu Ganglai. The reincarnation realm was still closed and Shuewei showed no signs of coming out. Ling Xiao sighed and came to the netherworld sacred river through the reincarnation realm. An old man with white hair and beard floated above the vast Yellow Springs sacred river. He had a benevolent look, and his eyes were deep and wise. Beside him was the fat and honest Zhu Biao. Ling Xiao already knew that Zhu Biao's true form was also a reincarnation beast. Moreover, he was Zhu Lan's grandson. Young friend Ling, you're here. Zhu Lan looked at Ling Xiao calmly and said softly. That's right. Today, I'll have to trouble Elder Zhu to bring me back to the war god Great World. Ling Xiao cupped his hands towards Zhu Lan and said. With Ling Zhao's current cultivation, it was not difficult for him to travel through the samsara world and return to the war god Great World. However, Ling Xiao did not have the coordinates of the war god Great World. In the end, it was very likely that he would be lost in the endless turbulence of space. Ling Xiao, my grandfather was severely injured by Yin Jiutian. He hasn't fully recovered yet, so he can't bring you back to the war god world. However, my grandfather will give you the coordinates of the war god Great World. With your cultivation, there shouldn't be any danger in crossing the void. Zhu Biao said to Ling Xiao. Thank you. I dare not trouble Elder Zhu to bring me back. Having the coordinates is enough. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Whoosh. A light flashed in Zhu Lan's hand. In an instant, a ray of light flew towards Ling Xiao and landed in his hand. It turned into a black stone. Young friendling, this is a spiritual stone of the underworld. It contains a trace of aura that I have sealed. It can guide you directly back to the war god Great World. However, between the samsara world and the war god Great World, there is a barren ruin. It is a relic from the Antiquity Age. There might be some powerful creatures from the Antiquity Age. Young friendling, you must be careful. Zhu Lan said slowly. He told Ling Xiao some things about returning to the war god Great World. The war god Great World and the samsara world were millions of miles apart. When Zhu Lan first brought Ling Xiao here, it took nearly a year. Ling Xiao might need even more time to return to the war god Great World alone. Especially the relic between the two worlds. It was full of danger, and there were some terrifying creatures. Looking at Zhu Lan's serious expression, Ling Xiao knew that those creatures were above the immortal state. Ling Xiao became more cautious. He cupped his hands towards Zhu Lan and said, Thank you, Elder Zhu. You're welcome. Speaking of which, the Samsara Temple's disaster is all thanks to you. This grandson of mine is also planning to go to the war god Great World. I hope young friend Ling can take care of him. This old man will be very grateful. Zhu Lan pointed at Zhu Biao and said with a smile. No problem. Ling Xiao said with a smile. For some reason, Ling Xiao felt that Zhu Biao was hostile towards him. Master, this brat seems to like Xuewei too. I can feel that he is very unhappy with you. Why don't we beat him up halfway and teach him a lesson? Zhu Ganglai chuckled as he sent a telepathic message to Ling Xiao. Don't cause trouble. Ling Xiao glared at him and felt a little helpless. Although Zhu Ganglai was a demon god, he had a pair of sharp eyes. He had an extremely accurate grasp of people's hearts. It was as if he could see through people's thoughts. Zhu Biao in front of him had always been by Xuewei's side. Naturally, Ling Xiao would not pick on him because of Zhu Biao's hostility. On the contrary, Ling Xiao felt that this guy was honest and kind of cute. Biao, after you go to the war god Great World, don't be willful. Listen to young friend Ling, okay? Zhulan looked at Zhu Biao sternly. Grandfather, I know. Zhu Biao said in a muffled voice. All right. Young friend Ling, I will now open a path for you. It should be able to send you to the ruins. You will have to walk your own path in the future. Zhulan said with a smile. Rumble. Zhulan exuded a vast and terrifying divine power, and the underworld's sacred river trembled violently. The void in the distance shattered like a mirror, and chaotic mist filled the air. A dazzling divine rainbow filled the air, forming an ancient path. The path was like a rainbow bridge. It was filled with chaotic chi and shone brightly. It traversed hundreds of millions of miles of the void, as if it was connected to a mysterious world. Young friend Ling, please. Zhulan said with a smile. Thank you, Elder Zhu. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. As soon as Zhulan attacked, he realized that Zhulan looked very strange. When he attacked, divine power gushed out. It was vast and terrifying. He was clearly a godly realm expert. However, most of Zhulan's vast divine power seemed to be sealed. Only a small portion could be used. His strength was stuck at the peak of the human Tao. He did not have the power of a godly realm expert. The godly realm and the power of the human Tao were indeed strange. Ling Xiao was puzzled, but he did not show it on his face. He smiled and bowed to Zhulan. Then he led Zhu Ganglai and Zhu Biao onto the bright rainbow bridge. Grandpa, take care of yourself. Zhu Biao's eyes were full of reluctance. He looked deeply at Zhulan, his eyes red. Then he resolutely turned and left. Rumble. The void trembled. The bright rainbow bridge disappeared instantly. Heaven and earth returned to normal. Ling Xiao, Zhu Ganglai, and Zhu Biao had disappeared in front of Zhulan. Biao, I hope you can break the fate of our clan. Only by following him will you have hope. Chapter 10:27. In the vast and boundless starry sky, darkness and loneliness were the eternal themes. A dazzling heavenly road spanned hundreds of millions of miles, leading to a faraway place. The light was dazzling, illuminating the surrounding darkness. Ling Xiao, Zhu Ganglai, and Zhu Biao had been on this heavenly road for nearly a month, but they still hadn't reached the ancient ruins that Zhulan mentioned. The sky was high and far, and it was all darkness. Occasionally, a star would appear, but it didn't have any signs of life. It was incomparably lonely. The reincarnation world and the war god world were two major planes, separated by an endless starry sky. This was Ling Zhao's first time in the starry sky. He saw the extreme brilliance of the starry sky, but he also saw the eternal loneliness and loneliness. Ling Xiao, don't you want to know why grandfather wants to send us to the ancient ruins? Zhu Biao finally couldn't hold back and asked Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao smiled and said, I thought you could hold back and not say it. If you want to say it, then say it. With Ling Zhao's current cultivation, how could he not feel that they were taking a long detour according to the Yellow Spring Spirit Stone that Zhulan gave him? In other words, they didn't need to go to the ancient ruins at all, and could return to the reincarnation world directly. However, Ling Xiao instinctively felt that the ancient ruins that Zhulan mentioned should be very important, so he walked on the heavenly road and headed towards the ancient ruins. Zhu Biao smiled bitterly and said, So you know, the ancient ruins are very important to me, and also very important to you. Oh, what's so important about it? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Because the ancient ruins have the opportunity to become a god. Zhu Biao said solemnly. What? Ling Zhao's eyes were also shocked. Zhu Biao's words were indeed somewhat out of his expectations. Zhu Biao explained. I know this news is indeed a little unbelievable, but the ancient ruins are not simple. Because in the ancient ruins, there's a mountain called Kuan-Wu Mountain. Legend has it that it's a divine mountain of the God world, and contains divine Tao laws and all kinds of treasures. If we can go through the baptism of the divine Tao laws of Kuan-Wu Mountain, perhaps we can become gods in this mortal world. Kuan-Wu Mountain? Divine Tao laws? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. This news was indeed incomparably shocking. Now that the gate of the God world was closed, if there was really a Kuan-Wu Mountain in the ancient ruins as Zhu Biao said, then it was really a great opportunity and fortune. Master, if there are divine Tao laws, then you can naturally become gods. However, my guess is that even if there is a Kuan-Wu sacred mountain, the divine Tao laws contained within it are not complete. Even if one can become a god, they would only be a false god. Zhu Gonglia's eyes flashed as he slowly spoke. No matter what, this is still a glimmer of hope. It's worth a try, isn't it? Zhu Biao's eyes were filled with excitement. Good. Let's go find the Kuan-Wu Mountain. Ling Xiao said slowly. Ling Xiao, the primordial relic is a place even more ancient than the catastrophe a million years ago. It's said that it's a relic from the primordial divine demon war. There are many strange and powerful beings there. We must be careful, Zhu Biao reminded. Ling Xiao nodded. The three of them continued to walk on the heavens path, passing through the endless starry sky. A few days later, a light flashed in front of them, and a floating ancient continent appeared. It was a land of deathly stillness. It was shrouded in a black mist and floated in the starry sky. It was at least 10 million miles in radius and was extremely huge. Around the continent, there were many corpses of powerful gods and demons, weapons, and even ancient ferocious beasts. Their flesh and blood had disappeared, leaving only their shiny skeletons. Broken stars floated in the air, giving off a tragic and terrifying aura. When Ling Xiao and the other two got closer, they could still feel the energy fluctuations that made their hearts tremble. That's the corpse of a black tortoise? Zhu Biao suddenly exclaimed. At the edge of the continent, there was a black tortoise floating in the air. The tortoise and snake coiled around each other with ancient patterns. It was shrouded in black evil qi, and its face looked ferocious. It was lifelike, as if it was a living ancient divine beast. However, Ling Xiao could sense that the black tortoise was filled with a deathly aura. It had been dead for countless years. It was only because it was too powerful that its corpse was preserved in perfect condition. However, there was a black spear nailed to the black tortoise's head, giving it a fatal blow. This is a divine realm black tortoise. How could it die here? Zhu Ganglai was also shocked. He didn't expect there to be such a place under the starry sky. There's more over there. Ancient soaring serpent, tyrant tiger, immortal firebird, Pishio. These are all ancient divine beasts and ferocious beasts. How could there be so many of them? Zhu Biao was completely shocked. Behind the giant black tortoise, in the starry sky at the edge of the continent, there were many terrifying divine beasts' corpses floating in the air. There were so many ancient divine beasts, but they only existed in legends. Now that they finally saw the corpses of real divine beasts, the three of them couldn't help but feel that it was unreal. Ling Xiao, this is the ancient ruins, but the layer of demonic fog outside is extremely terrifying. Back then, my grandfather narrowly escaped death to enter it. We must be careful. There are many terrifying existences in the ancient ruins. Zhu Biao said solemnly as he stared at the layer of black fog outside the continent. The ancient ruins were indeed too shocking. There were so many lifelike divine beasts' corpses that had survived for countless years. It's a pity that although these divine beasts' corpses look lifelike, there's no life in them. Otherwise, these divine beasts' corpses would be priceless treasures. Whether it's their flesh, blood, or bones, their value is immeasurable. Zhu Ganglai also said with some pity. He could see that these divine beasts' corpses were filled with a deathly aura. Even if the corpses were taken down, they would have lost their divinity and could no longer be refined into treasures. Let's go in and take a look. Everyone, be careful. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed sharply. He led Zhu Ganglai and Zhu Biao and flew slowly towards the ancient ruins. Rumble. The layer of black fog outside the continent was turbulent and vast. It rose like the sea and contained a terrifying energy fluctuation. There were even streaks of black lightning that intertwined as if it could destroy everything. Ling Xiao and the other two cautiously approached the periphery of the black fog. Just as they were about to enter, the black fog churned and actually transformed into an incomparably terrifying figure, pouncing towards Ling Xiao and the other two. Chapter 1028. Rumble. The void trembled violently. The black mist transformed into a black overlord tiger. Its body was like a mountain, exuding an incomparably terrifying aura. Its eyes were like blood moons, filled with cold killing intent. The overlord tiger pounced towards Ling Xiao and the other two, as if it wanted to devour heaven and earth. Ancient battle spirit. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This overlord tiger was not a physical entity. It was a battle spirit formed by the combination of the overlord tiger's mark and the black mist. It retained the essence of the overlord tiger's fighting spirit, and was incomparably powerful. Looking at the power of this overlord tiger, it was at least a divine realm expert when it was alive. Boom. Ling Xiao punched out, and a golden fist print came crashing down. It contained an invincible force that could destroy everything, and it slammed into the overlord tiger's body. How strong was Ling Xiao's physical body now? Even the overlord tiger's battle spirit could not withstand the power of Ling Xiao's attack, and it was instantly blasted into black mist. However, Ling Xiao's punch was like poking a hornet's nest. The surrounding black mist rose up, and several powerful battle spirits appeared in an instant, pouncing towards Ling Xiao and the other two. Ling Xiao, be careful. These battle spirits are extremely powerful. You must defeat them in an instant, and then rush straight into the ruins. Otherwise, once you're surrounded by them, you'll be in trouble. Zhu Biao warned. Rumble. Ling Xiao punched out a few more times, causing the heavens and earth to shake violently. The golden fist print was like a vast sun, containing a trace of the aura of the heaven-devouring fire. It was extremely strong and powerful. Although those fighting spirits were strong, they were all transformed from Yin spirits. They were most afraid of young flames like the sky-devouring fire. Therefore, those few powerful fighting spirits were killed by Ling Xiao with one punch as soon as they rushed over. Roar. A loud roar resounded through the heavens and earth. The black mist in the distance was like a wave, and it instantly parted. A huge fierce beast battle spirit flew out from it, exuding an aura that made people tremble. This is the black tortoise battle spirit. Not good, let's go. Zhu Gonglia's expression changed as he cried out in alarm. The ferocious beast battle spirit in front of him had a tortoise and a snake coiled around it. It was tens of thousands of feet tall, and its entire body was pitch black. It let out a shocking roar and looked exactly the same as the corpse of the black tortoise. As soon as the black tortoise fighting spirit appeared, a black fist came crashing down. Rumble. It was as if the sky and earth had been turned upside down. The black fist print contained a power that could crush everything. Master, this is Tortoise Fist. We are no match for it. Let's go. Zhu Ganglai let out a strange cry. Black tortoise fighting spirit? Kill. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he threw a punch at the black tortoise fighting spirit. The devouring fire exploded and turned the entire area into a sea of fire. Bang! When the two fists collided, the sea of flames that filled the sky was swept away. Even Ling Xiao was sent flying by the black tortoise fighting spirit. Roar. The black tortoise fighting spirit pounced forward once again with its mouth wide open. Like a black whirlpool, it charged towards the three of them. Open up. The devouring sky sword in Ling Xiao's hand shone brightly and shot up into the sky. Terrifying energy erupted from his body, and the devouring sky sword turned into a huge sword radiance that was tens of thousands of feet long. It was sharp and unparalleled. It was like the Milky Way that fell from the 9 heavens as it slashed towards the black tortoise fighting spirit. Puff. The black mist exploded and the black tortoise fighting spirit was split into two by Ling Xiao's sword. The terrifying sea of black mist around them began to boil violently. However, before Ling Xiao could heave a sigh of relief, the black mist surged and shone brightly. The black tortoise fighting spirit had reformed. It can't be killed? Zhu Ganglai and Zhu Biao both cried out in surprise. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had used all the energy in his body to launch that attack. However, he did not expect the black tortoise fighting spirit to be immortal. It had once again formed a fighting spirit body. Roar! 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 The black mist rose and a few terrifying beastly roars could be heard. A vast aura filled the air as if another powerful fighting spirit was about to form. Ling Xiao knew that he could not delay any longer. Otherwise, once the countless fighting spirits were alerted, no matter how strong the three of them were, they would die here. Wang. The space between Ling Xiao's eyebrows shone brightly and a beam of light shot up into the sky. The wordless heavenly book instantly appeared above their heads and protected them as they flew rapidly into the black mist. With the protection of the wordless heavenly book, the speed of the three of them became extremely fast. Even the black tortoise fighting spirit could not catch up to them. It could only watch as the three of them charged into the black fog and entered the primordial ruins. This was an extremely desolate continent. Above their heads was an endless starry sky. Below their feet were yellow soil, ruins, and all sorts of broken weapons. There were even the bones of giant beasts. In the distance, there was a barren mountain range, but there was no sign of life. The Kunwu Sacred Mountain should be in the center of this continent. Zhu Biao pointed at the center of the continent in the distance. All right, let's speed up. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that this continent was not simple. It was able to float in the endless starry sky for hundreds of millions of years. This really piqued his interest. However, this continent was not very big. It only had a radius of 10 million miles. The three of them flew at top speed and arrived at the depths of the continent in less than a day. Rumble. In front of them, there was a huge mountain range that stood at the top of the sky. It was like a divine pillar that connected heaven and earth. One could not see the end of it. The mountain was enveloped by a resplendent divine light. Chaotic mist permeated the air, and the starlight that filled the sky sprinkled onto it. It gave off an aura of eternity. Moreover, there was no sign of life on this continent. However, this sacred mountain was lush and full of vitality. There were many towering ancient trees, and they could even faintly hear the roars of powerful beasts coming from it. The scene in front of them was so strange that it was hard to fathom. This is the Kunwu Sacred Mountain. Zhu Biao's eyes revealed a trace of excitement. The Kunwu Sacred Mountain? Why do I feel that this doesn't look like a mountain, but more like a huge ancient tree? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as such a thought suddenly appeared in his mind. This thought gave him a big fright. If it was really not a mountain but an ancient tree, then this tree was probably even more terrifying than the Path Understanding tree. Could it be the legendary world tree that connected the mortal realm and the divine realm? Ancient tree? How can there be such a huge ancient tree? You're thinking too much. This is the Kunwu Sacred Mountain. It's the sacred mountain of the realm of the gods. It contains the powerful laws of the divine path. Chapter 1029. Has your grandfather entered the Kunwu Sacred Mountain before? What's in the Kunwu Sacred Mountain? Ling Xiao smiled faintly and didn't argue with Zhu Biao. He was most concerned about what was in the Kunwu Sacred Mountain. Zhu Biao nodded and said, Grandfather has entered the Kunwu Sacred Mountain before. However, the Kunwu Sacred Mountain is too strange. There are talking stones, plants that have turned into spirits, and even the 100-flower fairy who can transform into a beauty. However, their strength is incomparably terrifying. When grandfather entered the Kunwu Sacred Mountain, he was severely injured by a rabbit that had turned into a spirit. After that, the rabbit fled. However, grandfather also sensed that the Kunwu Sacred Mountain contains powerful divine Tao laws that can allow one to attain Tao and become a god. Talking stones? Plants that have turned into spirits? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Plants and rocks were restricted by the divine Tao laws. Even if they were bathed in the essence of heaven and earth for millions of years, it would still be difficult for them to have spirituality or even cultivate. Just like the Path Understanding tree that Ling Xiao obtained in his previous life. Its strength was incomparably terrifying, but it only had a vague consciousness. It was impossible for it to have spirituality like a human, let alone cultivate on its own. If plants and rocks could turn into spirits and cultivate, perhaps only the legendary realm of the gods could have such a strange scene. In that case, the Kunwu Sacred Mountain was indeed extraordinary. Master, Zhu Biao should be right. I can also sense that there seems to be some kind of strange divine Tao on the Kunwu sacred mountain. It's very similar to the divine Tao laws. Zhu Ganglai said slowly. Let's go in and take a look. All of you be careful. Ling Xiao looked at the seemingly peaceful Kunwu sacred mountain and said slowly. Whoosh. The three silhouettes flew towards the Kunwu holy mountain at lightning speed and soon disappeared in the dazzling divine light. Not long after Ling Xiao and the other two entered the Kunwu sacred mountain, a group of uninvited guests arrived on the continent. 3 bronze coffins emitted a vast and powerful aura. They passed through the heavy black fog and arrived on the continent. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The bronze coffins flashed and a group of dignified young men flew out. They then stood respectfully on the ground and bowed to the 3 bronze coffins. Daoist Jiaxing, Fairy Wangyue, after 1,000 years, we meet again. One of the bronze coffins flashed, and an old man with white hair and beard slowly sat up. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand and wore a hemp robe. He opened his eyes, and 2 terrifying rays of light pierced through the void. His voice was old and deep as he looked at the other 2 bronze coffins. Wang. The 2 bronze coffins also shone brightly. The lids of the coffins slowly opened, and 2 figures flew out from within. One of them was a middle-aged Taoist who wore a starry Taoist robe. His face was clear and he looked extraordinary. He carried an ancient sword on his back and his robe fluttered in the wind. The other was a woman in a white dress. Her entire body was enveloped by the bright moonlight. She looked extremely beautiful and peerless. Her eyes were cold and deep, as if they contained the power to see through people's hearts. They were Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue. Elder Qinghua, long time no see. If it weren't for the ripening of the divine origin fruit, I'm afraid we wouldn't have come to this ruin. Daoist Jiaxing glanced at the old man in the hemp robe indifferently. His eyes flickered with a sharp light, as if there was a bright sword ray that was about to break open the world. Daoist Jiaxing, your celestial deity vanquishing sword seems to have improved. Congratulations. Elder Qinghua said with a smile. He looked kind and amiable, and it was easy for people to get close to him. However, Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue stood side by side. Their eyes were filled with vigilance. They knew how terrifying Elder Qinghua's strength was. Moreover, this person was ruthless. Every time they came to pick the divine origin fruit with him, they had to be extremely vigilant. You flatter me. No matter how strong my celestial deity vanquishing sword is, I'm afraid it can't be compared to your primordial chaos sword Qi. Let's cut to the chase. The 2 of us want 60% of the divine origin fruit this time. Daoist Jiaxing looked at Elder Qinghua indifferently and said. Fairy Wangyue stood beside him. Her eyes were cold and she didn't say anything. 60%? Your appetite is getting bigger and bigger. I think it's better to follow the previous rules and split it 50-50. Elder Qinghua frowned slightly. Although he was still smiling, his smile had turned cold. Elder Qinghua, the divine origin fruit was discovered by the 3 of us together. However, you want to take 50% of it. You're going too far. This time, the 2 of us only want 60%. Speaking of which, you're taking 40%. You're taking advantage of us. Daoist Jiaxing said indifferently without giving in. It seems like the expansion of the Star Moon Palace in the past 1,000 years has made your appetite bigger and bigger. Alright, since that's the case, I'll give you 60%. Elder Qinghua suddenly laughed and looked at Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue deeply. If that's the case, let's enter the mountain. Disciples of the Star Moon Palace, listen up. After entering the Kunwu Sacred Mountain, you can only move within 3,000 feet. You're not allowed to go beyond 3,000 feet. Those who disobey will have their cultivation crippled and be expelled from the sect. Daoist Jiaxing looked at the group of young disciples below and said, Yes, Ancestral Master. The young disciples cupped their hands and bowed. Their eyes were filled with excitement. This time, the Star Moon Palace had sent a total of over 100 disciples. Other than the dozen or so Supreme Being experts, the rest were all at the half-step Supreme Being level. In the past, every time they entered the Kunwu Sacred Mountain to cultivate, they could quickly reach the Supreme Being level. Therefore, those who could come to the ruins were all genius disciples of the Star Moon Palace. The disciples of the Qinghua Palace can also move within 3,000 feet. If you don't listen to the ancestral master doesn't need to expel you from the sect. The ferocious beasts in the Kunwu Sacred Mountain will eat all of you. All right, let's go. Old man Qinghua said with a smile. Whoosh, whoosh. The disciples of the Star Moon Palace and the Qinghua Palace quickly flew towards the Kunwu Sacred Mountain under the lead of the three experts. In the Kunwu Sacred Mountain, there were towering ancient trees and old vines entwined around. There were countless exotic flowers and herbs. The spiritual energy here was very abundant. It had even turned into a white spiritual mist that floated in the mountain forest. It was ethereal and otherworldly. Ling Xiao and the other two entered the Kunwu Sacred Mountain, and had already climbed more than 1,000 feet. Along the way, they encountered several dangers. There were powerful primordial variants and powerful primordial divine arrays. However, they were all resolved by Ling Xiao and the other two. Moreover, Ling Xiao also realized that the higher they went into the Kunwu Sacred Mountain, the greater the danger they encountered. This Kunwu Sacred Mountain is not simple. It actually has a hidden space that nurtures so many primordial variants. I wonder if there are any real divine beasts on the mountain. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he looked at the huge mountain forest above him and said slowly. Based on this trend, there might really be divine beasts. Zhu Ganglai said as he looked around curiously. Along the way, they had killed many primordial variants. Many of them could even tear a supreme being apart, and were extremely terrifying. However, all of them had died in the hands of Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai. Zhu Biao's cultivation had also reached the 6th level of the Supreme Being realm. After entering the Kunwu Sacred Mountain, he felt that the speed of his cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. Based on this speed, it wouldn't take long for him to break through to the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme Being realm. It wouldn't be difficult for him to break through to the titled Supreme Being realm. Chapter 1030. Roar. Suddenly, an angry roar rang out from the forest, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Several towering ancient trees were instantly blown to smithereens. It was a black leopard. Its black fur was like silk, and it looked to be over 100 feet tall. It was like a small mountain, and its eyes shot out a dark blue light. It shot out from the forest like a sharp sword, and its body was surrounded by bolts of black lightning. It suddenly pounced towards Ling Xiao and the others. Its black mouth opened wide, and its claws shone with a sharp light. Its eyes looked extremely cruel, as if it was going to tear Ling Xiao and the others to pieces in the next moment. Heaven-ripping leopard. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He actually saw another archaic mutant. However, he stood in place and did not move. He looked very calm. Zhu Ganglai, on the other hand, roared angrily and charged forward. You're courting death. Boom. Zhu Gonglia's 9-toothed rake shone brightly. The 9 teeth seemed to be able to pierce through the heavens and earth. It carried a gust of wind as it slashed towards the heaven-ripping leopard. Clang. The heaven-ripping leopard was extremely fast. It was like a bolt of black lightning, and it dodged Zhu Gonglia's 9-toothed rake by a hair's breadth. Its sharp claws slammed onto the rake. Immediately, sparks flew everywhere. A surge of divine power exploded between Zhu Ganglai and the heaven-ripping leopard, causing both of them to retreat at the same time. What a powerful heaven-ripping leopard. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This heaven-ripping leopard seemed to only have the cultivation of a supreme being, and it did not seem to have any intelligence. However, its body emitted a powerful fluctuation of divinity, allowing it to possess a terrifying amount of divine power. Zhu Ganglai also noticed this, and a strong desire to battle appeared in his eyes. Although his strength had been greatly reduced, he still had the battle strength of an ordinary immortal. If he could not even kill a beast, it would be too embarrassing. Zhu Gonglia's competitive spirit was aroused, and he immediately threw a punch towards the heaven-ripping leopard. Kacha. The void trembled slightly. Zhu Gonglia's punch was extremely condensed, and it actually made the heaven-ripping leopard feel a sense of danger. It did not even think about it, and it turned into a bolt of black lightning and moved away. A towering ancient tree was blasted to smithereens by Zhu Gonglia's punch. The heaven-tearing panther's sharp claws were like blades as it slammed down towards Zhu Ganglai. Boom. It was as if Zhu Ganglai had eyes on the back of his head, and he reached out with his palm. One of the heaven-tearing panther's claws was caught by Zhu Ganglai. Without waiting for the heaven-tearing panther to move, Zhu Ganglia's divine power exploded. He swung the heaven-tearing panther up and smashed it down. The mountain shook violently, but the Kunwu godly mountain was incomparably sturdy. The heaven-tearing panther only smashed a small hole in the ground, causing the heaven-tearing panther to howl in grief. Boom, boom, boom. Zhu Ganglia's god power exploded. He swung the sky-tearing leopard and smashed it on the ground over 100 times. Even though the sky-tearing leopard had thick skin, it was still dizzy, and its internal organs were all damaged. Puff! The nine-toothed rake struck down and nailed the heaven-tearing panther's head to the ground. Fresh blood spurted out, and the heaven-tearing panther let out a miserable howl as it was killed by Zhu Ganglai. Master, the primordial species in the Kunwu godly mountain are indeed very strong. However, their flesh and blood contain powerful god power. If you can consume them for a long period of time, it can also increase the limits of your body, although it may not be obvious. Zhu Ganglai heaved a sigh of relief, and said with a smile as he pointed at the heaven-tearing panther that he had killed. That's right. The bodies of these demonic beasts do contain a vast amount of god power. Even if I don't consume it, I can bring it back to my disciples and let them be reborn. It's indeed a good thing. Ling Xiao said with a smile as he kept the heaven-tearing panther's corpse. Ling Xiao, the Kunwu godly mountain is indeed full of danger. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to reach 10,000 feet. However, the last time my grandfather came, he found a natural spiritual root ice heart tea tree at 20,000 feet. It can cleanse one's Dao heart and allow one to be reborn. Although it's only a quasi-divine medicine, it has the potential to become a divine medicine. We can go into seclusion at the ice heart tea tree and see if we can gain anything. Zhu Biao said as he glanced at Ling Xiao. Ice heart tea tree? There's such a good thing? Let's go take a look. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The ice heart tea tree was also a natural spiritual root in ancient legends. It was a supreme divine medicine. Even if the ice heart tea tree that Zhu Biao mentioned was only a quasi-divine medicine, it was still extremely precious. The most important thing about the ice heart tea tree was that it could allow one to enter a state of thoughtlessness. It could cleanse one's inner demons, understand oneself, and choose the path one wanted to walk. If one had a divine medicine ice heart tea tree, it could even help one become a divine medicine. Even a quasi-divine medicine ice heart tea tree would be of great use to Ling Xiao at this moment. Ling Xiao was prepared to use the secret skills recorded in the wordless heavenly book as the foundation to recreate the 7 limits divine skills of devouring heaven and destroying earth. The 4 elephants sky striking style was based on the ancestral dragon secret skill, the true phoenix secret skill, the black tortoise secret skill, and the white tiger secret skill. However, Ling Xiao had only just created it. If he could obtain the ice heart tea tree, perhaps Ling Xiao would be able to recreate this style completely. If the 4 elephants sky striking style was fully recreated, its power would be enough to slay a divine medicine tree. Under Zhu Biao's lead, Ling Xiao and the other 2 slowly headed up the mountain. Along the way, they encountered many powerful primordial ferocious beasts, and even various dangers and traps. Ling Xiao and the other 2 passed through without any mishaps. After all, Kunwu Divine Mountain was 1,000,000 feet tall and connected heaven and earth. The area within 3,000 feet could only be considered the foot of the mountain, and was not considered too dangerous. Soon Ling Xiao and the other 2 approached the place that Zhu Biao mentioned. In front of them was a valley shrouded in clouds and mist, but Ling Xiao could feel an incomparably terrifying aura emanating from the valley. There were powerful ferocious beasts guarding the valley. Ling Xiao, that ferocious beast seems to be the legendary bloodjade spider. It has the strength of a demigod, and is even stronger than the heaven-tearing panther. Standing in front of the valley, Zhu Biao reminded. The bloodjade spider was a powerful ferocious beast guarding the ice heart tea tree. Its strength was terrifying beyond compare, and had been waiting for the ice heart tea tree to evolve into a transcendent divine medicine. It was extremely difficult to deal with. No matter, let's go in and take a look first. Ling Zhao's gaze was calm as he slowly walked into the valley. With Ling Zhao's current battle strength, even a demonic beast that was half a step away from the divine realm could not cause the slightest ripple in his heart. Perhaps only a divine realm demonic beast could make him take it seriously. The valley looked very quiet and secluded. Ancient trees towered into the sky and resplendent spiritual lights shone. There were many precious spiritual herbs, but this was the territory of the bloodjade spider. Obviously, no other demonic beast dared to enter the valley. Chapter 1031. The tea tree was snow-white and flawless. Whether it was the branches or the leaves, they were all like white jade. They shone brightly as if they were carved from jade. They were very exquisite. This was the Ice Heart Tea Tree. There were dozens of leaves on the Ice Heart Tea Tree. Each leaf had a mysterious pattern on it, as if it contained some kind of law power. Even though they were so far away, Ling Xiao, Zhu Ganglai, and Zhu Biao felt their hearts become extremely peaceful. It was as if all the mortal energy had been cleansed away. Even the bottleneck of their cultivation had loosened. It really is the Ice Heart Tea Tree. Judging by its aura, it's going to advance to the realm of divine medicine soon. Ling Zhao's gaze shook. Looking at the Ice Heart Tea Tree in front of him, his eyes revealed a hint of surprise. He could see that the Ice Heart Tea Tree in front of him was emitting a mysterious fluctuation. It was in harmony with the surrounding heaven and earth. It was faintly absorbing some kind of law power, and its aura was getting stronger and stronger. Moreover, the Ice Heart Tea Tree already had 49 leaves. The 50th leaf was slowly condensing, matching the number of Dian. Ling Xiao could predict that as long as the 50th leaf condensed, the Ice Heart Tea Tree would be able to advance to the realm of divine medicine. Moreover, it seemed that it would not take too long. At most, it would take a few months. At least, it would take a few days to complete the final transformation. Where did the bloodjade spider go? Zhu Biao looked around in surprise. He did not sense any aura of the bloodjade spider. Not good dodge. Ling Zhao's expression suddenly changed. Without thinking, he wanted to bring Zhu Ganglai and Zhu Biao to dodge. Whoosh. However, at that moment, a large blood-red net fell from the sky. Its speed was extremely fast, and in an instant, it wrapped around Ling Xiao and the other two. The blood-red net seemed to be made of intertwined divine chains. It was very tough and contained the mysterious power of runes. Zhu Biao and Zhu Ganglai were unable to break the net in a short time. Hiss! A soft sound was heard. A light flashed in the void, and in an instant, a spider the size of a millstone appeared. Its body was as bright as bloodjade, and its 8 legs were as sharp as blades. In particular, its compound eyes contained a cold and bloodthirsty aura. It slowly crawled toward Ling Xiao and the other two. Bloodjade spider. Although this bloodjade spider was small in size, the terrifying aura it emitted was even stronger than the heaven-tearing panther. Who would have thought that the bloodjade spider would be so cunning, deceiving the senses of Ling Zhao's group and directly capturing them with a giant web made of spider silk? Break! Ling Zhao's expression darkened. The Devourer's sword in his hand shone brightly as he channeled the invincible war god energy into the Devourer's sword. Instantly, a snow-white sword light flashed, and the blood-red spider web was instantly sliced apart by Ling Xiao. If it weren't for the power of the war god, it would have been extremely difficult to cut through the spider web with the heaven-devouring sword alone. Whoosh! Just as Ling Xiao cut through the spider web, the bloodjade spider let out a sharp cry and rushed towards Ling Xiao. The shriek pierced through Zhu Biao's soul, causing him to tremble. He immediately became extremely pale. Even Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai trembled slightly. A blood-red leg blade slashed down towards Ling Xiao, as fast as lightning. Clang! Ling Xiao didn't even think. The Devourer's sword slashed through the air and collided with the leg blade. Instantly, the sound of metal clashing rang out, and sparks flew in all directions. At the same time, the other 7 leg blades of the bloodjade spider slashed down towards Ling Xiao. Ding ding ding! The Devourer's sword in Ling Xiao's hand shone brightly as it spat out a resplendent sword light. Moreover, in Ling Xiao's hand, it transformed into a silver river of sword qi, enveloping Ling Xiao's entire body. The leg blades and Devourer's sword collided, producing a crisp sound. The Bloodjade Spider's 7 leg blades collided with the Devourer's sword, but unexpectedly, not even a white mark was left behind. It was extremely sturdy. What sturdy leg blades! If the Devourer's sword could devour the Bloodjade Spider's 8 leg blades, I'm afraid its quality would be even higher. Ling Xiao sighed in admiration as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Kill! Ling Xiao swatted away the Bloodjade Spider's leg blades and poured the War God energy into the Devourer's sword. Instantly, an invincible sword chi erupted and slashed down towards the Bloodjade Spider. The Bloodjade Spider seemed to be able to sense the extraordinariness of this sword, but its 8 leg blades still flew through the air to block. Kacha! Resplendent sword chi exploded, the light was gorgeous, and the void trembled. One of the Bloodjade Spider's leg blades was actually cut down by the Devourer's sword. But at the same time, the Bloodjade Spider's mouth emitted a sharp cry, piercing directly into Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness like a soul-destroying needle. A blood-colored spider silk, like a divine chain of order, shot through the air at extreme speed towards Ling Xiao, instantly wrapping him up. As for the Bloodjade Spider, it opened its bloody mouth and lunged at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. This series of attacks was as fast as lightning. If it were an ordinary person, they would not have been able to react at all. The Bloodjade Spider did not have any intelligence, but it actually knew how to set up a trap. At the cost of 1 leg blade, it released a series of sure-kill attacks, such as a sonic attack and Bloodjade Spider silk, all in order to get close to Ling Xiao and completely eliminate him. But unfortunately, although the Bloodjade Spider's sonic attack was strong, it did not have the slightest effect on Ling Xiao. Not to mention Ling Xiao's incomparably powerful primordial spirit, he also had the protection of the wordless heavenly book. Ling Xiao was least afraid of primordial spirit attacks. Boom! Ling Xiao's body gushed with divine light, and accompanied by a terrifying dragon roar, a vast and unparalleled physical strength erupted, instantly breaking the Bloodjade Spider silk around him. Ling Xiao's hand formed an unparalleled fist print, and a punch came down on the Bloodjade Spider. 18 rainbow-colored divine dragons crisscrossed between heaven and earth, converging into a golden fist print. The dragon's power was vast, as if it wanted to shatter heaven and earth. This was the power of the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique. The Dragon Clan was once the overlord of an era, the supreme existence of the Demon Clan. Although the Bloodjade Spider was extremely powerful, its bloodline still had a fear of the Dragon Clan. When this punch came down, the Bloodjade Spider's eyes suddenly showed a trace of fear. But this punch also stimulated the Bloodjade Spider's ferocious aura. The Bloodjade Spider instantly leaped into the sky, and suddenly spat out a blood-colored jade ball from its mouth. It contained the power to destroy everything, and it exploded. Boom! The power of the Bloodjade contained the terrifying divine power of the Bloodjade Spider. Even a half-step divine spirit would probably be directly blown to death. But Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably calm. His fist came down from the sky, instantly breaking through the blood-colored light that filled the sky, and fiercely slammed into the Bloodjade Spider's body. The Bloodjade Spider's carapace was incomparably sturdy, and a layer of blood-colored light appeared to resist. But soon, the blood-colored light dimmed instantly, and the hard carapace made a crisp sound. Crack! Under Ling Xiao's punch, the Bloodjade Spider instantly exploded into a bloody mist. Even its hard carapace was shattered by Ling Xiao. Chapter 1032. The Bloodjade Spider's body was incomparably sturdy, comparable to a quasi-divine artifact. Its 8 legs were extremely sharp, even sharper than a divine artifact. However, Ling Xiao's war god's power was invincible. Even the Bloodjade Spider couldn't withstand Ling Xiao's punch, and was completely killed. Whoosh! The wordless heavenly book devoured the Bloodjade Spider's flesh and soul. The Bloodjade Spider's carapace and legs seemed to have a special attraction to the heaven-swallowing sword, and they were slowly refined by the heaven-swallowing sword. Although the heaven-swallowing sword's quality wasn't high, it was refined with Ling Xiao's life essence. Coupled with the integration of the innate Spirit King's tool spirit, the heaven-swallowing sword had unlimited potential for growth. Master's battle strength is getting stronger and stronger. This bloodjade spider's strength is unparalleled. I'm afraid it's not much weaker than a real god, but it still died at Master's hands. Zhu Ganglai said with a sigh. Zhu Biao's eyes were also filled with shock, and there was a hint of complexity in them. He had seen Ling Xiao kill Yin Jiutian with his own eyes. At this moment, Ling Xiao's terrifying battle strength was like that of a peerless war god, and it shocked him greatly. When he thought about how he might never have the chance to catch up with Ling Xiao in this lifetime, Zhu Biao was extremely depressed. However, Ling Xiao's expression was extremely solemn. He slowly said, "This is only the foot of the Kunwu sacred mountain. The bloodjade spider already has the battle strength of a god. I don't know how terrifying the creatures on the Kunwu sacred mountain are." Zhu Biao nodded and said, "That's right. My grandfather also said that below the Kunwu sacred mountain, supreme being experts can barely survive. Above the Kunwu sacred mountain, even a god may die. However, we have already obtained the Ice Heart Tea Tree, so we can cultivate in seclusion in this valley. There's no need to continue going up." Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He glanced at the Ice Heart Tea Tree and said, "I'm afraid the Ice Heart Tea Tree will transform into a real divine herb after some time. Let's cultivate here for the next few days." The terror and mystery of the Kunwu Godly Mountain caused Ling Xiao to hesitate. However, after killing the bloodjade spider, Ling Xiao found that the Ice Heart Tea Tree seemed to have broken free from some kind of shackles, and began to emit powerful divine fluctuations. 1. The Ice Heart Tea Tree trembled slightly. Dozens of leaves collided with each other, producing an incomparably crisp sound. It was as if jade beads were falling onto a jade plate. The leaves glowed brightly as if they were carved from white jade. Mysterious patterns appeared on them, as if they were describing some kind of heavenly truth. Furthermore, the Icy Heart Tea Tree exuded a strange aura that caused the three of them to tremble. Instantly their hearts calmed down. It was as if all the distracting thoughts had disappeared. His entire being was neither sad nor happy, without any thoughts, ethereal and mysterious. Ling Xiao slowly sat down with his legs crossed. Around the Ice Heart Tea Tree, his mind became extremely clear. The secrets of the Ancestral Dragon secret skill, the True Phoenix secret skill, the White Tiger secret skill, and the Black Tortoise secret skill gradually appeared in his mind. Ling Xiao began to comprehend the 4 secret skills. He wanted to fuse them together to form the perfect 4 elephants sky-striking style. Just like that, Ling Xiao, Zhu Ganglai, and Zhu Biao all sat around the Ice Heart Tea Tree and entered a state of cultivation. The Icy Heart Tea Tree was even faster than Ling Xiao had expected. 3 days later, the 50th leaf would be completely formed. Boom! The entire Icy Heart Tea Tree glowed brightly, exuding strands of strange divine chains of order that intertwined with each other. The power of law rose, causing the entire valley to fall into an ocean of power of law. Ling Xiao and the other 2 were also awakened by the commotion caused by the Icy Heart Tea Tree. A beam of divine light exploded in the valley, causing the entire valley to be as bright as day. Rumble! Vast amounts of heaven and earth essence gathered. The Icy Heart Tea Tree began to tremble violently, and began to devour the mysterious power of law. Above the Icy Heart Tea Tree, it was as if it had ascended to godhood and a mysterious scene of thousands of gods gathering. A vast and powerful aura surged as if some kind of power was about to be born. Not good. The commotion caused by the Icy Heart Tea Tree is too big. I'm afraid it will alarm other primordial ferocious beasts. Zhu Biao's expression changed as he spoke slowly. Don't worry. The speed of this transformation should be very fast. Once the Icy Heart Tea Tree completely transforms into a divine medicine, we will leave this place. Kunwu Sacred Mountain is deserted, so there shouldn't be any problems. There was a hint of excitement in Zhu Gonglia's eyes. If the Icy Heart Tea Tree in front of them could transform into a divine medicine, it would be of great use even to Zhu Ganglai. It should be able to restore part of his strength. Therefore, when he saw the transformation of the Icy Heart Tea Tree, he was also extremely excited. Boom! The Icy Heart Tea Tree shone even more brightly. On each leaf, there seemed to be countless law runes floating, like a sky full of stars. It was extremely beautiful and gathered to form a vast galaxy. A divine power was awakened, and the Icy Heart Tea Tree's aura began to soar. However, at this moment, a group of uninvited guests came to the valley. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He felt the aura of a group of experts flying toward the valley. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the valley. It was a group of young disciples in green robes. There were both men and women. The men were dignified and extraordinarily handsome, while the women were beautiful and had an extraordinary temperament. The leader was a handsome young man with an ancient sword on his back. However, his face was extremely cold and arrogant, as if he didn't care about anything. His cultivation had reached the 9th level of the Supreme Realm, which was similar to Ling Zhao's cultivation. Although he looked very young, Ling Zhao could tell that he was probably a few hundred years old. After the young man landed in the valley, he saw the icy heart tea tree in the middle of Ling Zhao and the other two. Instantly, there was a hint of passion in his eyes. Who are you? This tea tree is the treasure of the Qinghua Palace. If you know what's good for you, you'd better get lost. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. The young man's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at Ling Zhao. Although he didn't know what the icy heart tea tree was, he could tell that it was a supreme treasure that was about to evolve into a divine medicine when he saw the fluctuations of the icy heart tea tree. Even the entire Qinghua Palace didn't have such a treasure. It only existed in legends. Now that he had encountered it, how could he miss it? Moreover, although he couldn't see through Ling Zhao and Zhu Gonglia's cultivation, he could see that Zhu Biao was only at the 6th level of the Supreme Realm. He didn't care about him at all. Chapter 1033. What Qinghua Palace? Never heard of it. We were the ones who found the ice heart tea tree first. What does it have to do with you? If you want to snatch it, just say so. You are twisting the truth and pretending to be sanctimonious. How disgusting. Zhu Biao stared at the young man and sneered. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. The Qinghua Palace did not exist in the War God world or the reincarnation world. Could it be from another world or the starry sky world? Among the dozen people in front of him, only 3 of them were honorable martial artists. The rest were only half-step honorable martial artists. Ling Zhao did not take them seriously. However, it was impossible for them to enter the Kunwu Sacred Mountain with their strength alone. There must be an expert who brought them here. How dare you? How dare you? The 3 of you are not from the Qinghua Palace or the Xingyue Palace. Where did you come from? Could you be spies from the Demon Clan? The Ice Heart Tea Tree was planted by the Qinghua Palace. You are courting death. Eldest senior brother, why are you wasting your breath on them? Just kill them. The disciples of the Qinghua Palace were extremely arrogant as they spoke with their heads held high. The eldest senior brother they were referring to was the young man, the son of the old man, Qing Yuanjun. He was the #1 genius of the Qinghua Palace. In their opinion, after they mentioned the Qinghua Palace, Ling Zhao and the other 2 should immediately kneel and beg for mercy. However, they did not expect Ling Zhao and the other 2 to show no fear at all. It was as though they had never heard of the Qinghua Palace. This enraged them. The 3 of them were too ignorant. They were courting death. I'll give you one more chance. Get lost immediately, and I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, the 3 of you will die. Qing Yuanjun said slowly as he looked at Ling Zhao and the other 2. He was more cautious in his actions. When he saw that Ling Zhao and Zhu Ganglai did not speak, both of them looked extremely calm. Moreover, he could not see through the 2 of them. This made him a little wary. He was testing the waters with his words. He wanted to know the background of Ling Zhao and Zhu Ganglai. There are people everywhere who don't know death. Master, let me kill them. A bunch of ants dare to be so presumptuous. They are courting death. Zhu Ganglai said with a sneer. Aren't you bullying the weak with your actions? Zhu Biao, go ahead. A mere 9th level venerable, 2 7th level venerable, and a bunch of half-venerable fellows shouldn't be a problem for you. Ling Zhao glanced at Zhu Biao indifferently. He did not even look at the Green Origin Lord. His eyes were still on the Icy Heart Tea Tree, waiting for the Icy Heart Tea Tree to transform. Zhu Biao's true form was a reincarnation beast. The reincarnation beast clan was incomparably mysterious. Even Ling Zhao had never heard of them. It was very likely that they came from the divine world. Zhu Biao's trial in the time cave allowed him to reach the nine-severing genius realm. He had inherited the great fortune of the reincarnation beast tribe. Therefore, in Ling Zhao's opinion, it was not difficult for Zhu Biao to deal with this group of people in front of him. All right, Zhu Ganglai said helplessly. With his realm as a true god, even if he only had the fighting power of a deity, killing these guys in front of him would be as easy as crushing an ant. Him making a move was indeed bullying the weak. Zhu Ganglai understood Ling Zhao's intentions. He wanted Zhu Biao to train himself. Either you scram or die. Zhu Biao stepped out and looked at the Green Origin Lord indifferently. Zhu Biao naturally had his own pride. With his current cultivation level, although he was 3 levels lower than the Green Origin Lord, it was not difficult for him to kill the Green Origin Lord. Ah, good. Very good. You guys are really arrogant. How dare you say that you can take on all of us with your cultivation level of level 6 Supreme Realm? You really don't know your place. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The Green Origin Lord was so angry that he laughed. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He was also infuriated by Ling Zhao's disregard. Ever since he was born, he had been the #1 genius in Qinghua Palace. His strength was unparalleled. Who didn't treat him with respect? Even many experts from other forces were killed by him. Coupled with old man Qinghua's deterrence, the Green Origin Lord had naturally developed his arrogant character. Swoosh! Qing Yuanjun exuded a majestic divine power around him. He slammed his palm down on Zhu Biao. The huge palm print was like a millstone, causing the void to tremble. It was as if it was going to crush Zhu Biao into dust. Great senior brother, kill this brat. Great senior brother, kill them. Many disciples of the Qinghua Palace shouted, their eyes filled with fanaticism and adoration. In their hearts, the Green Origin Lord was a peerless genius of the younger generation. He was invincible. Many experts of the same level had been killed by the Green Origin Lord. A mere Zhu Biao would probably be killed in a single blow. The power of the Green Origin Lord's palm was indeed extraordinary. It was a pity that he had met Zhu Biao. Boom. Zhu Biao also slammed his fist across the sky. His body was surrounded by a black divine light that contained a mysterious reincarnation power. Although this punch was purely based on his physical strength, it contained a powerful will that could break through the reincarnation of life and death. The fist and the palm collided, causing the void to tremble violently. A divine light storm swept out in all directions. Zhu Biao's face was calm, but the Green Origin Lord's expression changed drastically. He felt a terrifying destructive power coming towards him. His body trembled violently as he was sent flying a few hundred feet away by Zhu Biao's punch. What? The disciples of Qinghua Palace were shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. They were stunned. The invincible great senior brother was sent flying with a single punch? Boom. The Green Origin Lord's body was glowing brightly. He suddenly flew over from afar with a gloomy look in his eyes. Zhu Biao's punch was too terrifying. If he did not have a powerful defensive treasure, he would have been severely injured by Zhu Biao. You're courting death. The Green Origin Lord's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. The ancient sword behind him was instantly unsheathed. Swoosh! The sword light was clear and bright, illuminating the void. It contained an unparalleled sword will. A powerful wave of divinity spread out. It was a powerful divine weapon. Qinghua Primordial Sword Qi Slash. The Green Origin Lord shouted. Suddenly his body glowed brightly. Streaks of sword qi rose. The green divine light seemed to cover the entire sky, forming a vast sea of green sword qi above the 9 heavens. As the Green Origin Lord pointed at Zhu Biao, the sword qi that filled the sky suddenly slashed toward Zhu Biao. Each of the sword qi was extremely powerful. Good timing. Chapter 1034. Rumble. Zhu Biao's punch contained a vast amount of reincarnation power. It was ferocious and indestructible. It made his fists look like they were made of metal. Green sword qi fell from the sky and collided with Zhu Biao's iron fists. The sound of metal colliding rang out, causing the void to tremble violently. In the end, the green sword qi was all shattered by Zhu Biao's fists. Strike again. Qing Yuanjuan's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he gritted his teeth and roared. Suddenly, the void trembled violently. The green sword qi that filled the sky condensed once again. Green qi intertwined in the void and turned into a chaotic green lotus that bloomed, causing the world to lose its color. Boom! The chaotic green lotus sword qi seemed to have formed a vast domain and shrouded Zhu Biao in an instant. The sword qi slashed down one after another, containing an extremely terrifying destructive force. What an impressive chaotic green lotus sword qi! It actually contains a trace of chaotic immortality. It is indeed extraordinary. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He could see that Qing Yuanjuan's chaotic green lotus sword qi seemed to be formless and intangible. However, it contained an unparalleled sharpness that could cut through the sky and destroy everything. This was also a divine-level martial art. It was extremely powerful and exquisite. Ling Xiao felt that it even surpassed the Thousand Dragons god-slaying technique. It was a pity that Qing Yuanjuan's cultivation was not perfect. He was only at the small success stage. If Qing Yuanjun could cultivate the chaotic green lotus sword qi to the large success stage, Zhu Biao might not be a match for him. The green chaotic green lotus bloomed in the void. Streams of sword qi burst out, forming a vast sword domain that wanted to annihilate Zhu Biao completely. Ling Zhao's face was calm. He was not worried at all. In his opinion, although the chaotic green lotus sword qi was extraordinary, it could not do anything to Zhu Biao. Rumble! The world trembled. A black and white divine light suddenly shot up into the sky. Zhu Biao let out a roar that shook the world. Terrifying sound waves swept out in all directions, causing the void to tremble violently. The azure light primordial sword qi that had been imprisoning him suddenly exploded with a boom. Zhu Biao's body was surrounded by black and white divine light as he punched at the green origin lord with extreme speed. What? Qing Yuanjuan's expression changed drastically. The Qinghua primordial sword qi was old man Qinghua's peerless divine art. Its might shook the entire starry sky. Even Taoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue were extremely wary of it. Ever since Qing Yuanjun had cultivated the green light primordial sword qi to the small success stage, he could be said to be invincible among the supremes. Thus, he had developed an extremely arrogant character. However, he didn't expect that a mere 6th-level Supreme Realm fatty would be able to break through his primordial azure splendor sword qi. He couldn't believe it at all. Crack! Feeling the terror of Zhu Biao's punch, Qing Yuanjun felt her scalp tingle. She quickly raised the ancient sword in her hand to block it. Zhu Biao's fist landed on the ancient sword. Suddenly, black and white divine lights burst out. Two mighty forces of extreme yang and extreme yin blasted into Qing Yuanjuan's body at the same time, causing him to tremble violently. Then he flew backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn fatty, who the hell are you? How did you break through my primordial azure splendor sword qi? Qing Yuanjun stared at Zhu Biao. His eyes were filled with terror. Even a titled Supreme Realm expert would find it difficult to break through his primordial azure splendor sword qi. Therefore, he couldn't figure out how Zhu Biao did it. I'll tell you when you're dead. Zhu Biao sneered and immediately charged towards Qing Yuanjun. At this moment, the disciples of Qinghua Palace seemed to have woken up from a dream. Someone shouted, "Hurry up and save senior brother." Suddenly, more than a dozen disciples of Qinghua Palace rushed towards Zhu Biao at the same time. Especially the two 7th-level Supreme Realm experts. They held two sabers in their hands. The saber radiance was unparalleled. It was like a vast ocean that enveloped Zhu Biao. You can't even withstand a single blow. Zhu Biao sneered. The black and white divine light behind him rose and instantly transformed into an immemorial divine mountain that pressed down on the disciples of the Qinghua Palace. Rumble! Everyone's attacks landed on the immemorial sacred mountain and produced a crisp sound. However, they couldn't stop the power of the sacred mountain that was formed by Zhu Biao's divine power. It instantly suppressed the dozen half-step Supreme Realm experts and caused them to explode. Blood mist filled the air. Broken limbs filled the air. The air was filled with the stench of blood. The two disciples of Qinghua Palace who held two sabers were also in a sorry state. After being hit by the immemorial sacred mountain, they were instantly sent flying back while spewing blood. They were also severely injured. Bastard. My father won't let you off. You're all dead meat. Qing Yuanjuan's eyes instantly turned bloodshot. These were the genius disciples of Qinghua Palace. Zhu Biao had killed all of them in an instant. It made his heart bleed. Even if your father is here, he won't be able to save you. Murderous intent flashed in Zhu Biao's eyes. Instantly, a saber palm came down on Qing Yuanjun. Who dares to hurt my son? At this moment, a deep and old voice sounded. It exuded a domineering and majestic aura. Boom. A ray of green sword chi swept across the sky. It was extremely bright and contained an eternal aura. It instantly collided with Zhu Biao's saber palm. Kacha. The divine light that filled the sky exploded, and a bloody wound instantly appeared on Zhu Biao's arm. She also let out a muffled groan, and was sent flying. A ray of light flashed in the sky. Instantly, a white-haired old man in hemp clothes appeared. He looked otherworldly and exuded an ethereal aura. It was the master of Qinghua Palace, Old Man Qinghua. Father, the three of them snatched my icy heart tea tree. Hurry up and kill them and take it back. Qing Yuanjun exclaimed when she saw Old Man Qinghua. Icy heart tea tree? Old Man Qinghua's body trembled when he heard these words. He looked at the icy heart tea tree beside Ling Xiao, and felt the vast divinity fluctuation. His eyes were suddenly filled with an incomparable passion. How dare you snatch the things of my Qinghua Palace? How dare you? Hand over the icy heart tea tree, and I'll spare your lives. Old Man Qinghua said coldly. His eyes were deep and majestic. He looked at Ling Xiao, Zhu Ganglai, and Zhu Biao indifferently as if he wanted to see through them. Hee, the old man came after you beat the young one? Old man, your son offended us. If you know what's good for you, kneel down with him and apologize. Perhaps we'll spare your lives. Otherwise you'll all die. Zhu Ganglai rolled his eyes and stood out with a smile. You're courting death. A bunch of ant-like things dared to speak such arrogant words? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Old Man Qinghua's eyes were indifferent. A cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Suddenly, green sword chi rose around him. It was vast and unparalleled, exuding a peerless aura. Old man, even if your real body is here, I'm not afraid of you. How dare a mere doppelganger act so presumptuously in front of me? Come on, let me teach you how to be a man. Zhu Ganglai sneered. The nine-toothed rake in his hand flashed and slashed at Old Man Qinghua. Chapter 1035. Rumble. The nine-toothed rake shone brilliantly, containing a demonic aura that could destroy everything. It caused the void to tremble violently. Old Man Qinghua's expression changed slightly. He hadn't been able to see through Zhu Gonglia's cultivation before, but as soon as Zhu Ganglai attacked, he could feel the terror of his strength. The power of the nine-toothed rake had surpassed the peak of human Tao, reaching the power of the divine spirit realm. Moreover, the surging demonic aura seemed to make Old Man Qinghua think of something. His eyes were suddenly filled with disbelief. You're actually a demon? Damn it. How dare you collude with the demons? This is unforgivable. Die. Old Man Qinghua stared at Zhu Ganglai, Ling Xiao, and Zhu Biao and said coldly. Then he slammed his palm down. Boom. Sword aura filled the sky. Green divine light radiated from Old Man Qinghua's body and condensed into a green lotus in his palm. It contained incomparably sharp mixed origin sword aura and slashed down at Zhu Ganglai. Mixed origin sword aura. In Old Man Qinghua's hand. A power that made even Ling Xiao look askance, far surpassing that of green origin lord. Zhu Biao definitely wouldn't be able to take this attack. Ding ding ding. The nine-toothed rake was enveloped in black demonic energy. Although it appeared incomparably heavy, it was incomparably agile in Zhu Gonglia's hands. The nine-toothed rake blocked all the sword beams that filled the sky. Additionally, the nine-toothed rake rapidly expanded. In the end, the nine-toothed blade struck the cyan-colored lotus flower. Boom. The green lotus exploded. Zhu Gonglia's eyes were filled with a cold sneer as he slashed down at Old Man Qinghua. Damn it. Old Man Qinghua's eyes were gloomy. He could feel Zhu Gonglia's strength. With the current strength of his clone, he wasn't Zhu Gonglia's match at all. He immediately leaped up and dodged the attack. Then he grabbed Green Origin Lord and tried to escape from the valley. You want to leave? Hee, leave your life behind for me. Zhu Ganglai laughed, revealing a mouthful of sharp fangs. He slammed his fist down at Old Man Qinghua. Boundless demonic chi surged. This punch contained the ultimate physical strength, and it locked onto Old Man Qinghua, making it impossible for him to escape. Rumble. Old Man Qinghua and Qing Yuanjun were punched by Zhu Ganglai, and they were thrown against a distant mountain. The mountain trembled, and Old Man Qinghua's body became dim. It looked as if he was going to disappear at any moment. That was only a clone of Zhu Ganglai, who was only slightly stronger than a titled celestial being. How could it withstand Zhu Gonglia's attack? This old man will remember you. If you dare to kill this old man's son, this old man will kill all of you even if I have to ascend to the heavens. Old Man Qinghua stared coldly at Zhu Ganglai, Ling Xiao, and Zhu Biao. Then his doppelganger instantly disappeared. Qing Yuanjuan's eyes were filled with fear as her body trembled uncontrollably. Even Old Man Qinghua couldn't save him. Who were these three guys? Boom. At that moment, Zhu Biao had already killed the other two supremes. Qing Yuanjun was the only one left in the valley. Seeing Zhu Gonglia's mocking gaze on him, Qing Yuanjuan's face turned pale. What are you doing? You can't kill me. My father is the master of the Qinghua Palace. He is a deity and has millions of subordinates. If you dare to kill me, my father will not let you go. Qing Yuanjun said fiercely. Zhu Ganglai sneered and said, The master of the Qinghua Palace? I've never heard of him. Don't worry. After I kill you, I'll kill your father. I guarantee that you will be reunited soon. Do you want to interrogate him? I want to know more about the Qinghua Palace. Zhu Biao asked. Zhu Ganglai said calmly, No need. Old Man Qinghua is only a demigod. There is nothing to be afraid of. Seeing Zhu Gonglia's cold expression and his determination to kill him, Qing Yuanjun broke down and shouted in horror, Don't kill me. Don't kill me. As long as you spare my life, I will tell you the whereabouts of the Divine Origin Fruit. Divine Origin Fruit. Zhu Gonglia's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with joy. Even Ling Xiao, who was observing the Ice Heart Tea Tree, turned around when he heard about the Divine Origin Fruit. Zhu Ganglai explained, Master, the Divine Origin Fruit is a rare treasure of heaven and earth. It contains Divine Tao Origin energy. It is very precious in the Divine Realm. I didn't expect the Divine Origin Fruit to exist in the Kunwu Sacred Mountain. Not only can the Divine Origin Fruit allow one to be reborn, but it can also condense Divine Tao Origin energy. No wonder that old man's doppelganger had the combat strength of a demigod. It was because of the Divine Origin Fruit. If you can get the Divine Origin Fruit, it will be of great help to your physical body. Oh, tell me, where is the Divine Origin Fruit? Tell me and I will spare your life. Ling Xiao looked at Qing Yuanjun indifferently. Qing Yuanjun was just a small fry in his eyes. It did not matter whether he killed him or not. Qing Yuanjun immediately said honestly, The Divine Origin Fruit grows in a cave 40,000 feet above the sacred mountain. It ripens once every 1,000 years, and it can bear 10 Divine Origin Fruits. This secret was discovered by my father, Old Man Qinghua, Daoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue from the Xingyue Palace. They come to pick the Divine Origin Fruit once every 1,000 years. Now that the Divine Origin Fruit has ripened, we are here. How is Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue's cultivation? Zhu Ganglai asked. Qing Yuanjun carefully looked at Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai and said, Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue are the same as my father. They are all demigod experts. Now they have gone to pick the Divine Origin Fruit with my father. As long as you spare my life, I will bring you there. Zhu Ganglai sneered and said, You want your father, Daoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue to save you, right? That's a good plan. Qing Yuanjun immediately kowtowed and said, I don't dare. I just want to stay alive. My father, Daoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue together are no match for you. Only you deserve to enjoy the Divine Origin Fruit. Qing Yuanjuan's heart skipped a beat. Indeed, Zhu Ganglai had seen through his plan. However, he believed that the temptation of the Divine Origin Fruit was too great. Zhu Ganglai would not be able to resist it. You are right. What bullshit, old man Qinghua, Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue. Master doesn't even need to do anything. I can kill them all myself. Bring us there. If there is really the divine origin fruit, I will spare your life. If you dare to lie to me, don't blame me for turning you into ashes. Zhu Ganglai laughed coldly, revealing his white and sharp teeth. Qing Yuanjun immediately trembled and said, I don't dare, I don't dare. Chapter 1036. Ling Xiao could tell what Qing Yuanjun was thinking, but he didn't care. They were just 3 demigods. They couldn't do anything. The transformation of the icy heart tea tree was completed in no time. Boom. When the last leaf of the ice heart tea tree was formed, the number of 50 was completely perfect. The ice heart tea tree shone brightly. The 50 leaves were dazzling, and 50 divine chains of order fell from them. They intertwined with each other, mysterious and unfathomable. The mysterious and vast aura spread out, making people feel relaxed and happy. It was as if all distracting thoughts had disappeared. Ling Xiao kept the icy heart tea tree in his small world. Qing Yuanjun was going crazy with jealousy. That was an unparalleled divine herb. If it was given to him, he might be able to break through to the titled supreme realm. It might even be possible for him to become a god in one step. However, he didn't dare to show the slightest emotion on his face. He led Ling Xiao and the other 2 out of the valley and headed for the divine origin fruit. On a cliff 40,000 feet above the Kunwu sacred mountain. The cliff was extremely steep. There were a few ancient pines growing on the cliff, looking very old and strong. Between the ancient pines, there was a very ordinary-looking cave. The white-haired old man Qinghua, Daoist Jiaxing with an ancient sword on his back, and Fairy Wangyue with her fluttering white robes arrived at the cliff at the same time. They looked down at the cave with blazing eyes. 3,000 years ago, when old man Qinghua, Daoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue were nearing the end of their lifespans, they came to the endless starry sky in search of opportunities. They accidentally stumbled upon this ancient ruin and discovered it in the Kunwu Divine Mountain. There was a divine origin fruit tree in the cave. Every 1,000 years, it would bear 10 divine origin fruits. After consuming the divine origin fruit, it increased their lifespan by 1,000 years. Therefore, the 3 of them agreed to come here once every 1,000 years to get the divine origin fruit. Moreover, the cave looked very ordinary, but it contained a very mysterious formation. Before the divine origin fruit ripened, they would definitely die if they dared to barge in. Only after the divine origin fruit ripened could they enter the cave. Presently, there was still 1 to 2 days' time from the divine essence fruit ripening. Fellow Taoists, if you can help me once, I only want 2 divine essence fruits this time. The other 8 will be yours. Old man Qinghua suddenly glanced at Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue. Oh, what is it? A hint of surprise appeared in Daoist Jiaxing's eyes. Since old man Qinghua was willing to give up 2 divine origin fruits, it was clear that the matter old man Qinghua was talking about was not simple. My son was captured by 3 uninvited guests. I want you to help me kill them. Old man Qinghua's eyes flashed with killing intent as he recounted what had just happened. To be able to kill one of your clones, what are the cultivation bases of those 3 people? Daoist Jiaxing's eyes flashed, but he did not agree rashly. 2 of them are at the 6th and 9th level of the supreme stage, but the last one has the battle prowess of a deity. I think he's not much weaker than me. Old man Qinghua said slowly, but he did not mention the icy heart tea tree and the demon clan. Daoist Jiaxing thought for a moment and said, the cultivation bases of the 6th and 9th level of the supreme stage are indeed nothing to worry about. The last one has the battle prowess of a deity, so it won't be easy to kill him. However, if the 3 of us join forces, he'll definitely die no matter how strong he is. Since Daoist Qinghua is so generous, and is willing to give up 2 divine origin fruits, then we agree to this matter. Fairy Wangyue glanced at Daoist Jiaxing and nodded her head. Good. I've already asked Fairy Wangyue to inform them about the divine origin fruits and lure them here. With the help of the 2 of you, those 3 thieves will definitely die. Old man Qinghua laughed. The 3 of them discussed for a moment, and began to set up at the cliff, preparing to surround and kill Ling Xiao and the other two. At this moment, Ling Xiao and the other two had already brought Fairy Wangyue to the cliff. Ling Xiao and the other two had concealed their cultivation bases. Although they still encountered some powerful ferocious beasts, they were able to avoid them in advance. However, after passing 3,000 feet, the danger became more and more numerous. Some of the ferocious beasts were so powerful that even Ling Xiao and the other two could not avoid them. However, they all died under Zhu Gonglie's nine-toothed rake. Seeing Zhu Gonglie's attack, Qing Yuanjun felt a little nervous. Zhu Ganglai was so powerful. Could old man Qinghua, Daoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue really kill him? Although Ling Xiao and the other two did not travel quickly with Fairy Wangyue, they still arrived at the cliff that Fairy Wangyue had mentioned after a day. Look, the divine origin fruits are in that cave. However, the divine origin fruits are not ripe yet. If we enter the cave now and trigger the formation, we'll definitely die. Fairy Wangyue pointed at the cave between a few pine trees and said, "All right. We're already here. Tell your father, Daoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue to get their asses out here." Zhu Ganglai looked at Fairy Wangyue indifferently. Fairy Wangyue's face was filled with embarrassment. Although he wanted to deny it, Zhu Gonglie's attitude showed that he did not believe him at all. "Haha. You've got guts. You know that the three of us are here, and you still dare to come. I don't know what you're relying on, but you'll definitely die today." An old and cold laugh resounded in the void. Rumble. The void trembled as three figures flew down from the cliff. Like lightning, they appeared in front of Ling Xiao and the other two. They were Old Man Qinghua, Daoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue. This was especially true for Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue. They glanced at the three of them indifferently, and discovered that it was just as Old Man Qinghua had said. Only Zhu Gonglie's cultivation was something they could not see through. They immediately relaxed. In their opinion, as long as they killed Zhu Ganglai, they could easily kill Ling Xiao and Zhu Biao. Ling Zhao's eyes were calm as he looked at Old Man Qinghua, Daoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue. He could see that the three of them were indeed half-step divine spirits. However, their auras were stronger than half-step divine spirits. They were similar to Yin Jiutian. The divine path Yuan Qi in their bodies was extremely dense. It must be because they had consumed the divine origin fruit. However, Ling Xiao could also see that the three of them were nearing the end of their lifespan. Even with the divine origin fruit, they were barely hanging on. After all, although the divine origin fruit could increase one's lifespan, it was not obvious. If they did not reach the divine realm, they would eventually die. Three mere half-step divine spirits. So what if you've consumed the divine origin fruit? If you can really reach the divine realm, you might be able to fight with me. You're just three idiots who have refined the divine spark and destroyed your own future. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Get over here. I'll kill you like I'm butchering dogs. Chapter 1037. How dare you? Let's see if your strength is as powerful as your mouth. Old Man Qinghua's eyes flashed with killing intent as he pounced on Zhu Ganglai. Boom. He struck out with his palm, and light spewed out from his palm. Runes intertwined, and a vast green divine power turned into a majestic sea that came crashing down on Zhu Ganglai. Although Old Man Qinghua knew that Zhu Ganglai was very strong, he had many tricks up his sleeve. With the help of Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue, it was not difficult to kill Zhu Ganglai. Good timing, ha ha ha. Zhu Gonglie's eyes flashed and he threw out a punch as well. Demonic light rose from Zhu Gonglie's body, and all the power in his body seemed to be condensed on his fist. It was like a black lightning bolt that wanted to pierce through everything. This was the extreme demonic fist, one of Zhu Gonglie's ultimate techniques. When he used the extreme demonic fist, even Ling Xiao would find it difficult to defeat him. Boom. The fist and palm collided, and the green sea surged. Zhu Ganglai instantly punched a big hole in the sea. The light was dazzling, and heaven and earth shook violently. Old Man Qinghua's expression suddenly changed as he felt a surge of divine power surge toward him. Moreover, it contained an extremely terrifying corrosive power. He slashed down with his palm, and the blazing saber light instantly cut off the divine power that was surging towards him. After that, he borrowed the unparalleled divine power to fly back. Daoist Jiaxing, Daoist Wangyue, let's attack together. Old man Qinghua's eyes flashed as he looked at Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue. Okay. Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue's eyes flashed. They could also see that Zhu Gonglia's strength was unparalleled. Moreover, the vast devil qi caused their expressions to change. Zhu Ganglai was actually a devil race expert. They immediately leaped over. 3 peerless experts besieged Zhu Ganglai, and an earth-shattering battle broke out. Ling Xiao and Zhu Biao stood aside and did not make a move. In Ling Zhao's opinion, although the 3 of them were strong, their cultivation had not entered the immortal realm. Even if they could fight with Zhu Ganglai, they would not be able to defeat him in the end. However, old man Qinghua's green light primordial sword qi had piqued Ling Zhao's interest. Qing Yuanjuan's face was full of anxiety. Although he hoped that old man Qinghua could kill Zhu Ganglai, his confidence was shaken after witnessing Zhu Gonglia's powerful combat strength along the way. Boom! Elder Qinghua's body was surrounded by blazing light. Blue divine light shot up into the sky. His hair and beard were all white, and he wore a linen robe. At this moment, he stood above the 9 heavens like a peerless sword god. His finger was like a sword as he pointed at Zhu Ganglai. Suddenly, the cyan sword qi gathered in the sky, turning into a cyan river that slashed toward Zhu Ganglai. It was vast and mighty, surging, and it contained the immortal fluctuations of the primordial chaos. It seemed as if it intended to shatter everything. Old man Qinghua's primordial cyan sword qi was far more powerful than Qing Yuanjuan's. Even Ling Xiao was shocked. Zhu Gonglia's eyes flashed with a strong fighting spirit. The 9-toothed rake flashed and appeared in his hand. Black light rose from Zhu Gonglia's body. With the 9-toothed rake in his hand, he leaped into the sky and smashed down toward the cyan river. The 9-toothed rake shone brightly, and the 9 teeth were like 9 sword lights. They collided with the cyan river. At this moment, the ancient sword on Daoist Jiaxing's back was unsheathed. Instantly, the sky and earth were illuminated. Clang! The sword light illuminated the sky. It was a crimson divine sword that flowed with brilliant divine light. It pierced through the sky toward Zhu Gonglia's chest. Fairy Wangyue also made her move. Her slender fingers moved, and suddenly, white rays of light shot out from her fingertips. They intertwined with each other like a large net woven with moonlight, enveloping Zhu Ganglai. Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue were both outstanding talents of the current era. Moreover, the husband and wife were telepathic, and their coordination was perfect. They chose to attack when Zhu Ganglai and old man Qinghua's primordial cyan sword qi collided. They unleashed a killing blow. Even if Zhu Ganglai could block the primordial cyan sword qi, he couldn't block Daoist Jiaxing's divine sword and Fairy Wangyue's moonlight net. Sensing the danger behind him, Zhu Gonglia's face was still smiling. There was no trace of fear. Rumble! The 9-toothed rake slammed into the cyan river. Instantly, divine light swept through the sky. Dazzling light exploded. He broke through the layers of sword qi and didn't retreat. Instead, he punched toward old man Qinghua. At the same time, the 9-toothed rake flashed and smashed toward the crimson divine sword behind him. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. The 9-toothed rake collided with Daoist Jiaxing's crimson divine sword. Instantly, the void shook violently, and endless divine light gushed out. Zhu Gonglia's extreme demonic fist also arrived in front of old man Qinghua. Bang! The power of this punch was too strong and domineering. Even old man Qinghua had no choice but to exchange a punch with Zhu Ganglai. He was sent flying by Zhu Gonglia's punch. Demonic flames burned the heavens. Zhu Gonglia's eyes flashed sharply. The surging black light around him instantly rushed into the sky, and turned into a black flame that spread toward the moonlight net. Boom! The black demonic flames contained extreme power. There was nothing it couldn't burn. It followed the bright moonlight and headed toward Fairy Wangyue. Fairy Wangyue's eyes flashed. She lightly slapped her palm. Light spewed out from her palm, and turned into an extremely cold force that wanted to freeze the black demonic flames. This was the divine power of moon. It contained extreme coldness that could freeze everything. However, What Fairy Wangyue didn't expect was that the explosion of the divine power of Moon didn't freeze the demonic flames. Instead, it made the black demonic flames burn even more fiercely. It was like adding oil to fire. It surged and spread toward Fairy Wangyue. You want to freeze my mysterious heavenly demonic flames? Die. Zhu Ganglai sneered and threw a punch at Fairy Wangyue. Zhu Ganglai could already see that Fairy Wangyue and Taoist Jiaxing's cooperation was very ingenious. It also caused some trouble for him. However, Fairy Wangyue was the weakest of the three. If he could get rid of her first, it would be much easier to defeat Old Man Qinghua and Taoist Jiaxing. The black sky demonic flames surged and enveloped Fairy Wangyue. At the same time, Zhu Gonglie's extreme demonic fist arrived. In the blink of an eye, Fairy Wangyue was in a dangerous situation. You're courting death. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. With a thought, the red divine sword turned into a red lightning bolt. It instantly knocked away the nine-toothed rake and shot toward Zhu Gonglie's head. Rumble! Sword chi surged violently, containing extreme destructive power. Moreover, a vast sword world formed above the crimson sword. Chapter 1038. Naturally, Old Man Qinghua couldn't just watch Fairy Wangyue get killed. He also flew towards Zhu Ganglai. Sword chi gathered around him and turned into a green sword Dao Green Lotus, shooting towards Zhu Ganglai. The two of them were attacking Zhu Ganglai. If Zhu Ganglai was determined to kill Fairy Wangyue, even if Old Man Qinghua and Taoist Jiaxing couldn't kill Zhu Ganglai, they could at least severely injure him. Whoosh! Fairy Wangyue's eyes flashed coldly. Her palm shone brightly and a white chain, like a long white snake, instantly wrapped around Zhu Ganglai. God-locking chain. This was a treasure that Fairy Wangyue obtained from an ancient ruin. Once it locked a person, both their physical body and primordial spirit would be sealed, making it impossible for them to escape. Zhu Ganglai also felt a sense of danger. Without hesitation, he threw a punch at the God-locking chain. Boom! Heaven and earth shook as the extreme demonic fist exploded. The fist print was unparalleled, but the God-locking chain was very slippery like a loach. It borrowed the force of the attack and bounced away. Then, it circled around and pounced towards Zhu Ganglai like lightning. Break for me! Zhu Ganglai roared as his eyes revealed a trace of cold sharpness. Black demonic light gushed out from his body, causing the void to tremble. It formed a vast demonic domain around him. This was the Tiangang demonic realm, Zhu Gonglie's strongest power. Although Ling Xiao was able to break through the Tiangang demonic realm, he couldn't help but be impressed. The Tiangang demonic realm was ever-changing. Ordinary people were no match for Zhu Ganglai. Old Man Qinghua, Taoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue's strength were indeed extraordinary. They could actually force Zhu Ganglai to use the Tiangang demonic realm. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Big Dipper demon area was surging like a small world of darkness. Countless figures of Zhu Ganglai appeared in an instant. Each figure was extremely real, and there were no flaws in them. The God-locking chain, the primordial azure sword Qi, and the crimson divine sword all rushed into the Tiangang demonic realm at the same time. Boom! Countless figures of Zhu Ganglai turned into dust. It was impossible to tell which figure was the real one. Fairy Wangyue suddenly felt a sense of danger. Without thinking, she slapped her palm behind her. Bang! Zhu Gonglie's figure appeared behind him and punched Goddess Wangyue. Unparalleled divine power exploded, causing Goddess Wangyue's body to tremble. Her face was extremely pale as she suddenly flew back. Bastards of the demon race die! Taoist Jiaxing's eyes instantly turned red. The crimson divine sword shone brilliantly as it swept through the void. It contained a sword intent that could destroy the heavens and slaughter gods and demons. A large amount of black energy was shattered. It was as though nothing could withstand the might of Taoist Jiaxing's sword. This was the power of the celestial god vanquishing sword. Once it was unleashed, it caused the celestial dipper demon area to tremble. Roar! A furious roar came from the Tiangang demon area. A black tortoise soared into the sky with its four limbs supporting the sky. Its eyes bulged and its face was ferocious as it slammed into the red godly sword. The black tortoise was a manifestation of the Tiangang demonic realm, but it looked extremely lifelike and exuded a boundless aura. Crack! Daoist Jiaxing's crimson sword shone with unparalleled sharpness, and it almost instantly slashed the black tortoise apart. Whoosh! However, the surrounding demonic energy surged. Instantly, a black demonic bull with blood-red eyes charged towards Daoist Jiaxing. In the Tiangang demon area, there were countless changes and everything could be done as one wished. Zhu Ganglai could be said to be in an invincible position. Unless the three of them were far stronger than Zhu Ganglai and could break through the Tiangang demon area, they would be trapped in it forever. Rumble. A green light rose in the Tiangang demon area like a green sun. The light was dazzling. Old Man Qinghua's body was surrounded by sword qi as he pointed his finger at Zhu Ganglai. Immediately, the primordial chaos sword qi that filled the sky shot towards Zhu Gonglia's forehead from the Tiangang demon area. The primordial chaos sword qi finally unleashed its most terrifying power. Whether it was the celestial beasts or weapons that were formed in the Tiangang demon area, they were all shattered by the sword qi. All the sword qi gathered and turned into a green lotus pattern. It was unfathomable as it charged towards Zhu Ganglai. Good timing. Zhu Gonglia's eyes flashed. He welcomed the sword qi that filled the sky and punched out as well. Kacha! Black lightning flashed across the void. The thunderbolts were as thick as mountains. Zhu Gonglia's punch looked like the hand of a demon god that wanted to turn everything into dust. This was the most powerful move of the extreme demonic fist, the sacrifice move. Sacrificing one's blood essence, primordial spirit, and even one's life to sacrifice the most powerful force. However, at Zhu Gonglia's current level he did not need to pay such a high price. However, his blood essence was still sucked dry. Kacha! The incomparably sharp primordial azure splendor sword qi instantly exploded. Even the azure lotus pattern above the Tiangang demon realm turned into a dazzling rain of light. What? Old Man Qinghua's eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. He did not expect Zhu Ganglai to be able to unleash such a terrifying punch. Suddenly, his heart was shrouded in a shadow of death. Buzz. Old Man Qinghua gritted his teeth. An ancient lotus jade appeared in his hand and was instantly crushed by him. A green lotus boundary enveloped him. It was ancient and incomparably powerful. Zhu Gonglia's sacrifice move landed on the green lotus boundary, causing the void to tremble violently. The green lotus boundary's light reached the extreme, and then it exploded in an instant. Rumble. Vast divine light swept out in all directions. Zhu Gonglia's punch also landed on Old Man Qinghua's chest. Old Man Qinghua's body instantly exploded into a bloody mist. Only his primordial spirit was left, revealing an incomparably horrified expression. The power of this punch was so terrifying that it made Old Man Qinghua feel a sense of despair. He was no match for it at all. Under this punch, his physical body was completely destroyed, leaving only his primordial spirit. As for Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue, they took advantage of the moment when Zhu Ganglai attacked Old Man Qinghua to instantly break out of the Tiangang demon area and escape. At this moment, they also saw the scene of Zhu Gonglia's punch exploding Old Man Qinghua. Suddenly, their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Old Man Qinghua's strength was incomparably terrifying. The two of them combined could barely compete with Old Man Qinghua, but they did not expect Old Man Qinghua to be defeated so miserably. The two of them suddenly lost the slightest desire to fight, and their eyes were filled with the intention to retreat. If they didn't leave now, they might really lose their lives here. Catch them. Chapter 1039. In Daoist Jiaxing's opinion, if he could capture Ling Xiao and Zhu Biao, he would be able to gain the upper hand. He might even be able to use Ling Xiao and Zhu Biao's lives to threaten Zhu Ganglai. You don't know what's good for you. Zhu Ganglai naturally saw Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue's actions. When he saw them pouncing towards Ling Xiao, he sneered but did nothing. Ling Xiao's current combat strength was even stronger than Zhu Gonglia's. Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue were simply courting death. Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. He had not expected to be treated as a pushover. However, with Daoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue's combat strength, they would naturally be able to capture an ordinary 9th-level Supreme Realm expert in an instant. However, it was a pity that Ling Xiao wasn't an ordinary 9th-level Supreme Stage powerhouse. Ling Xiao was not a pushover. In fact, he was an iron plate. Boom. Seeing Taoist Jai Xing pouncing towards Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao's expression remained calm. He merely threw out a simple punch. This punch looked extremely ordinary and crude. It did not even seem to have any fluctuation of divine power. However, when Taoist Jai Xing was about to come into contact with this punch, his expression changed drastically. A sense of extreme danger arose in his heart. Crack! Golden lightning burst out instantly. Ling Xiao's punch landed heavily on Taoist Jai Xing's arm, causing it to explode instantly. Unparalleled divine power erupted. The punch did not lose its momentum and landed directly on Taoist Jai Xing's chest. This was the pure power of the physical body. Even a true deity would not dare to take the power of this punch head-on. How is this possible? Taoist Jai Xing's eyes were filled with disbelief. With Ling Xiao's punch as the center, Taoist Jai Xing's body trembled slightly before exploding instantly. Taoist Jai Xing's body shattered into the tiniest particles. It was extremely uniform. Even the blood droplets solidified in the void. It looked extremely strange. "Bastard, I'm going to kill you," Goddess Wuxia screamed. Her eyes were filled with hatred and anger. The god-binding chain in her hand flew across the sky, as fast as lightning. "You're courting death." Ling Xiao laughed coldly and reached out with his hand. His speed was incomparably fast, and he actually grabbed the god-binding chain in his hand. Ling Xiao's palm glowed with a resplendent light, directly crushing the resplendent runes on the god-binding chain. The god-binding chain shook violently in Ling Xiao's hands. Under Wang Yue's control, it seemed like it was going to attack Ling Xiao at any time. A mere damaged divine artifact dares to be so presumptuous? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he grabbed the god-binding chain with both hands at the same time. Golden divine light gushed out from his body, and his blood chi soared into the sky. His terrifying physical strength exploded, and with a sudden tug he actually broke the god-binding chain. Puff! Goddess Wuxia was connected to the god-binding chain. When the god-binding chain was destroyed, she also suffered a great backlash. Suddenly, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her body shook as if she was going to fall from the sky at any time. Whoosh! The wordless heavenly book shone brightly and instantly rushed out from between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. It directly suppressed Taoist Jai Xing's flesh and primordial spirit. Although Goddess Wuxia struggled with all her might, she was already severely injured, and her strength was the weakest of the three. In the end, she was also suppressed by the wordless heavenly book. Taoist Jai Xing and Goddess Wuxia wanted to capture Ling Xiao and Zhu Biao to threaten Zhu Ganglai, but they did not expect Ling Xiao to take care of the two supreme experts in an instant. Qing Yuanjun was dumbfounded. He originally thought that Zhu Ganglai was the strongest, but he did not expect the master Zhu Ganglai spoke of, who looked very handsome and elegant, to be so terrifying. He killed two supreme experts in one move. This kind of strength was even stronger than Zhu Ganglai. Qing Yuanjuan's heart sank into despair. "You can't kill me. I'm an elder of the Star Alliance. If you dare to kill me, the Divine King will not let you go." Old man Qing Hua was still struggling violently, and his eyes were filled with terror. His heart was filled with regret. He did not expect Zhu Ganglai to be so strong. The three of them together were not a match for the Divine King. Furthermore, Ling Xiao's strength had exceeded his expectations. The Star Alliance? Never heard of it. A mere mortal world dares to call itself the Divine King? You really don't know the meaning of death. Zhu Ganglai said with a sneer. Old man Qinghua hurried to explain. The Star Alliance has millions of planets with life. Our Qinghua Palace is one of the major powers in the Star Alliance. We have over 100 titled paragons and dozens of god spirits. His Excellency the God King is immortal and indestructible. He's one of the strongest in the god world. If he were to act, he would kill you like a dog. Me, Taoist Jai Xing, and Goddess Wuxia are all elders of the Star Alliance. Our primordial spirits are marked by the Divine King. If you dare to kill us, the Divine King will come after you. The Divine King from the Celestial Realm? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. The celestial realm's gate had been closed for 1,000,000 years. Could the divine king that old man Qinghua spoke of be a survivor of the Great War 1,000,000 years ago? Master, don't believe him. There can't be a divine king in this world. I think he's just a coward who hid for 1,000,000 years before waking up. There's nothing to fear. Zhu Ganglai sneered. A divine king was a big shot even in the celestial realm. How could one appear in the Star Alliance? Moreover, in the war 1,000,000 years ago, God King level powerhouses were very famous, but almost all of them had died. Aside from a demon God King, Zhu Ganglai had never heard of any other God King level powerhouses. I'm telling the truth. The divine king is unfathomable. He could crush us with a single finger. This time, we must give most of the divine origin fruits to the divine king. I think you're strong. Why not join the Star Alliance? I'm sure the divine king will appreciate you. Old man Qinghua hurriedly explained. He even wanted to recruit Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai. Kill him and search his soul. Find out more about the Star Alliance. Ling Xiao said calmly. If old man Qinghua wanted to kill him, there was no way he would let him go. Yes. Zhu Ganglai sneered. No matter how much old man Qinghua cursed or threatened, he didn't care. He opened his mouth and swallowed the old man's flesh and soul. To Zhu Ganglai, old man Qinghua's flesh and soul was a great tonic. It could replenish all the energy he used to perform the extreme demonic fist. It could even help him improve. Just like that, old man Qinghua, Taoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue were all dead. Their souls were scattered, and not even their bones were left. Green Lord's face was pale and his body trembled. His eyes were filled with despair. A strong smell of urine wafted from his body. He was so scared that he wet his pants. Chapter 1040. Idiot. Zhu Ganglai shook his head and sneered, then slapped Qing Yuanjun to death. Is the Star Alliance really that powerful? Ling Xiao didn't care if Qing Yuanjun lived or died. After the wordless heavenly tome devoured Taoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue, Ling Xiao saw some of their memories. After a quick search of the Star Alliance, Ling Xiao realized just how powerful they were. The God of War realm and the realm of reincarnation were both planar worlds. Each planar world had its own world origin, which was vast and full of complete laws. In addition to planar worlds, the vast expanse of outer space was mostly dead planets. However, there were also some planets with life. There were also vast martial arts and countless powerhouses. However, these planets were generally small, so they weren't very strong. There was even a legend that these planets were formed by ancient battles. The destruction of the primordial heaven and earth led to the formation of the endless Milky Way. Therefore, there were many ancient ruins in outer space. The strength of the cultivators on these planets was not weak. The Star Alliance, for example, was founded 10,000 years ago by a mysterious god king who swept away countless powerhouses and conquered countless planets. Eventually, it became a superpower. In the Star Alliance, besides the mysterious divine king, there was a council of elders composed of 81 grand elders. They managed all affairs of the Star Alliance. Old man Qinghua, Taoist Jiaxing, and Fairy Wangyue were the 3 grand elders of the Star Alliance. It could be imagined that the death of the 3 grand elders here would very likely alarm that mysterious god king. The Star Alliance was far more powerful than any of the holy lands of martial arts on the God of War continent. Perhaps even the Temple of War couldn't compare. As for the divine king's true strength, no one knew. Taoist Jiaxing and Fairy Wangyue had seen the divine king in action once. A sealed demon god had been easily crushed to death with a single finger. Master, the divine king might really be from the god realm. Otherwise, there wouldn't be anyone in the mortal world with such terrifying battle prowess. Zhu Ganglai said with a solemn expression as he looked through old man Qinghua's memories. It's possible. However, this ancient ruin was extremely mysterious. Kunwu's sacred mountain was shrouded in powerful divine Tao laws. Even if the divine king knew that the 3 of them were dead, it was impossible for him to find this place. We will cultivate in seclusion here for a period of time, and then return to the war god Great World. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. Although that divine king's strength was unfathomable, It was likely that Ling Xiao did not have any interactions with him. 3 days later, the cave above the cliff gushed out a resplendent multicolored light. It looked gorgeous and dazzling. Moreover, there was a trace of a strange fragrance permeating the air. Smelling it would greatly raise one's spirit. Ling Xiao had already set up a concealment array around the cave, in order to prevent the fragrance of the divine essence fruit from escaping. Rumble. In the cave, there seemed to be thunder and lightning. The void shook and purple light rose. The scene was shocking. In the end, it slowly disappeared, and a bright door of light opened in the cave. Come, let's go in. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The array in the cave was obviously an incomparably powerful ancient divine array. Even Ling Xiao could not see through it. To be able to leave an array here, it seemed that the divine essence fruit was very likely left behind by a supreme existence. However, Old Man Qinghua and the others had no problem picking it twice in a row. Perhaps that existence was already dead. Ling Xiao, Zhu Ganglai, and Zhu Biao's eyes revealed a trace of anticipation. They carefully walked into the cave. The cave was very calm, as if it led to the depths of the mountain range. After walking in for 100 feet, the scene before them suddenly opened up. In front of them was a hot spring filled with clouds and mist. It exuded boundless heaven and earth essence qi. In the middle of the hot spring, there was a small tree that was about 10 feet tall. The small tree had sparse branches and leaves. The branches were knotted together like dragons. It exuded a resplendent green light, as if it was sparkling and translucent. Between the green leaves, there were 10 spirit fruits the size of a fist. They seemed to be surrounded by a red glow and flowed like flames. They exuded a rich fragrance. It really is the divine essence fruit. Zhu Ganglai exclaimed in surprise. He could feel that the divine essence fruit contained boundless divine Tao law. It was extremely beneficial to him. The most mysterious thing about the divine essence fruit is the divine Tao law it contains. If you consume it, you will have a chance to comprehend the divine Tao law within it. In the realm of the gods, if a mortal realm expert consumes the divine essence fruit, there is even a chance to directly break through to the realm of the gods. However, it is probably very difficult to break through to the realm of the gods here. However, the divine essence fruit is still incomparably precious. Master, if you want to walk the path of becoming a god with your physical body, the divine essence fruit will be of great use to you. Moreover, this guy's physical body is very strong, and there seems to be some kind of curse power in his bloodline. Although the divine essence fruit can't completely dissolve it, it can still suppress it to some extent. Zhu Ganglai glanced at Ling Xiao and Zhu Biao and chuckled. You can actually see the curse power in my bloodline? Zhu Biao's eyes flashed as he looked deeply at Zhu Ganglai. What's so difficult about that? Although I don't know the origin of your reincarnation beast clan, I'm afraid that you all came from the realm of the gods and offended some big shot, thus being implanted with the curse power. However, the curse power in your grandfather's body is the strongest. It can only survive in the Yellow Springs sacred river, and rely on the power of life and death to suppress it. The strange thing is that the curse power in your body is much weaker. Zhu Ganglai smiled faintly. Zhu Biao was silent for a moment before he said, My grandfather said that my parents burned their lives and used some kind of heaven-defying secret technique to transfer the curse power in my body to their bodies. Unfortunately, it didn't succeed completely. They both died from the backlash of the curse power. Ling Xiao saw that Zhu Biao's expression was a little gloomy. He patted his shoulder and said, Seeing you like this, I'm sure your parents will be very happy. Work hard on your cultivation. When you stand at a high enough position, when you have enough power, you will naturally be able to seek revenge on those who implanted the curse in your clan. Zhu Biao nodded solemnly with a hint of sharpness in his eyes. All right, let's talk about something happy. The first divine essence fruit has the best effect. After that, it doesn't have much effect. Everyone take one each and try it. Chapter 1041. Ling Xiao looked at the divine origin fruit in his palm. It shone resplendently and was surrounded by a scarlet glow. It contained a vast and majestic energy. Its fragrance assailed his nostrils, making him unable to resist the urge to swallow it. Wait a moment. Master, take out the ice heart tea tree. Take the ice heart tea tree with the divine essence fruit. There will be an unexpected effect. Who knows, your cultivation might even improve. Zhu Ganglai looked at Ling Xiao and chuckled. Ice heart tea tree? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He took out the ice heart tea tree and carefully plucked 3 tea leaves. Ling Xiao took out a piece of white jade, and the heaven-devouring fire in his hand spread out. With a thought, the white jade melted, and very quickly, it turned into 3 teacups. They looked flawless and sparkling. At Ling Xiao's current cultivation level, he could refine weapons as he pleased. These 3 teacups that he had casually crafted were at least Dao artifact-level treasures. Ling Xiao took the materials and boiled them with hot spring water. He placed the ice heart tea tree in the teacups and steeped it. Instantly, steam filled the air and the fragrance of the tea filled the air. A refreshing aroma filled the air. This place is rather safe. There's also an ancient divine formation protecting it. Let's cultivate in seclusion here. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said slowly. This cave was protected by a powerful ancient divine formation. It was easy for those inside to leave, but those outside couldn't enter. This cave could be said to be the safest place on Kunwu Sacred Mountain. All right. Zhu Ganglai and Zhu Biao nodded. This cave was very spacious. The 3 of them each chose a place to sit down. Ling Xiao swallowed the divine origin fruit and drank the iced heart tea at the same time. Boom. The divine essence fruit melted in his mouth and turned into a vast energy torrent. It was as hot as fire and surged towards Ling Xiao's body. On the other hand, the iced heart tea seemed to be steaming hot, but when it entered his mouth, it turned into a stream of refreshing air. It was like ice water during the hottest days of summer, causing one's spirit to rise. It flowed through Ling Xiao's entire body and finally gathered in his sea of consciousness. Ling Xiao felt as if his entire being had been stripped of a layer of mortal air, becoming ethereal and clear. His heart was clear, and everything in the world had turned into chaos, allowing him to see the essence of the world from a mysterious perspective. The 2 energies, one hot and one cold, converged in Ling Xiao's body, forming a miraculous reaction. Boom. Ling Xiao was surrounded by a golden glow. Behind him, the shadows of the ancestral dragon, the true phoenix, the white tiger and the black tortoise appeared. His eyes were slightly closed and he looked dignified. His body glowed, and there was a faint smile on his lips. He looked like an eternal immortal king. His body was as clear as glass, and one could almost see his blood surging. His meridians were expanding, and his flesh and blood were becoming more and more powerful. Moreover, there was a dragon's roar. Ling Xiao wasn't in a hurry to break through his cultivation. Otherwise, with the power of the divine origin fruit and iced heart tea, it wouldn't be difficult for him to directly attain a title. However, Ling Xiao wanted to walk the path of becoming a god with his physical body. Therefore, the refinement of his physical body was the most important. He couldn't relax at all. Originally, Ling Xiao's physical body had already reached its limit, and it couldn't be improved anymore. However, after swallowing the divine origin fruit, a vast amount of energy from the divine origin fruit merged with his physical body, causing it to slowly strengthen again. Ling Xiao had a hint of understanding. It turned out that what he thought was perfection wasn't perfection. There was no limit to the improvement of his physical body. If he wanted to reach the realm of becoming a god with his physical body, he still needed to continue working hard. The iced heart tea was extremely mysterious. It actually allowed Ling Xiao to become a part of the chaos, allowing him to see the essence of the world. He saw the chaos opening up the world, the moon giving birth to the 2 elements, the 2 elements giving birth to the 4 symbols, the 4 symbols determining the universe, the 5 elements giving birth, and the multiplication of all living things. That was the most original energy. Under the effect of the iced heart tea, Ling Xiao began to come into contact with it. There was a saying in Buddhism that all living things had barriers to seeing and understanding. As the saying goes, a leaf obscures one's eyes, and one can't see Mount Tai. All living things were born in this world. How difficult was it to understand the origin of the world? The path of martial arts was like climbing a mountain. One had to climb high to see far and understand the scenery of this world. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao seemed to have left this world and was observing this world from an outsider's point of view. This was extremely precious. Perhaps it would be very difficult to experience this again in the future. This was because Ling Xiao's cultivation had reached a bottleneck, and it was also because it was Ling Xiao's first time consuming the iced heart tea. In such a state, Ling Xiao also began to comprehend the 4 elephants striking the sky. How difficult was it to merge the ancestral dragon secret skill, real phoenix secret skill, white tiger secret skill, and black tortoise secret skill into one, and turn them into a part of Ling Xiao's martial arts. After all, these 4 secret skills were the supreme magical powers of the ancient divine beasts. They contained their original energy. However, in Ling Xiao's state, he began to see the origin and essence of these 4 secret skills. The weight and weight of the earth, the gentleness and life of the water, the rhythm and power of the wind, the destruction and rebirth of the fire. With the transformation of the 4 elephants, Ling Xiao began to no longer be constrained by the power of these 4 secret skills. Instead, he saw the essence, the original energy of the 4 elephants, and merged it into the 4 elephants striking the sky. To Ling Xiao, this was definitely an unimaginably great opportunity. Otherwise, with Ling Xiao's current talent, he might not be able to comprehend the 4 elephants striking the sky even if he had another 100 or 1,000 years. Just like that, Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the cave and forgot about time and everything else. He was immersed in the original energy of heaven and earth. A month passed, then half a year passed. It was not until a year later that Ling Xiao woke up from the state of enlightenment and opened his eyes. Buzz. 2 resplendent divine lights shot out from Ling Xiao's eyes. They contained a mysterious power that was mysterious and vast. The 4 elephants striking the sky has finally reached the level of great success. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of surprise as he softly muttered to himself. It was a pity that the enlightenment tea and divine origin fruit's energy had been exhausted. Otherwise, Ling Xiao would have been able to deduce the 4 elephants striking the sky to perfection if he had been able to persevere for a while longer. However, Ling Xiao was already satisfied. Ling Xiao had already deduced over 10,000 variations of the 4 elephants striking the sky. The power of this move was extremely terrifying. Even Ling Xiao did not know the true power of the 4 elephants striking the sky. Let's test the power of the 4 elephants striking the sky. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he prepared to leave the cave. Zhu Ganglai and Zhu Biao had not woken up yet. However, their auras were getting stronger, especially Zhu Ganglai. The demonic aura around him rose, causing the void to tremble slightly. On the other hand, Zhu Biao's cultivation had also broken through to the 7th level of the supreme stage. There were signs that he would continue to break through. Chapter 1042. Ling Xiao left the cave and headed towards the Kunwa sacred mountain. His body was now flawless, and his body was glowing. He exuded an otherworldly aura, as if he had become one with the heaven and earth. Although his cultivation was still at the peak of the 9th level of the Venerable Realm, he was only a step away from the titled Venerable Realm. It wasn't that Ling Xiao didn't want to break through, but he strove to achieve perfection in every realm and develop his body's potential to the extreme. Only by doing so could he increase his chances of becoming a god. After all, it was too difficult to achieve god ascension with the body. Even in the divine world, only those with extraordinary talent could do it. In the mortal world, the divine world's gate was closed. Wanting to achieve god ascension with the body was akin to using the body to contend against the laws of heaven and earth. However, after a year of seclusion, Ling Xiao's body had become more unfathomable, and he had also comprehended the 4 elephants sky striking style to major completion. The Kunwa sacred mountain was filled with danger, but there were also many powerful archaic variants. Ling Xiao wanted to test the power of the 4 elephants sky striking style, so he directly headed towards the Kunwa sacred mountain. Boom! A crimson divine bull as tall as a small mountain, possessing an overflowing divine power, was even more powerful than the blood jade spider. In the end, Ling Xiao killed it with a single punch and collected its corpse. Under the nourishment of the divine Tao, The archaic variants on the Kunwa sacred mountain were all extremely powerful, far surpassing the demonic beasts in the outside world. The flesh and blood of these ancient beasts contained a vast amount of energy, although it wasn't of much use to Ling Xiao now. If he brought it back to the war god Great World, it would be an unimaginable treasure for the disciples of the Changsun sect. Although Ling Xiao didn't deliberately collect them, he had already killed dozens of powerful archaic variants by the time he arrived at the top of the Kunwa sacred mountain. However, although these archaic variants were strong, they were only on the same level as the blood jade spider. They couldn't even resist Ling Xiao's physical strength, so naturally, they couldn't force him to use the four elephants sky-striking style. Roar! The sea of clouds in front of him surged, and mist rose. Suddenly, a loud roar shook the void, and it was extremely powerful. A monstrous baleful aura spread out. The sea of clouds parted, and a gigantic primordial ferocious beast emerged. Its entire body was as black as ink, and its black scales were like dragon scales. Its four limbs supported the sky, and it was thick and powerful. It had a ferocious dragon head, antlers and dragon whiskers. Its eyes were like blood moons, filled with cold and bloodthirsty killing intent. Its aura was incomparably terrifying. It looked down at Ling Xiao like a giant dragon looking down at an ant. Black Qilin. Ling Xiao's eyes widened in shock as he revealed a look of disbelief. He had never thought that he would be able to see such an ancient divine beast. The Ink Qilin was the same as the Fire Qilin. They were both experts of the Qilin race. They were able to control the innate Kuei water origin, and possessed unparalleled strength. For example, the sky-scorching demon emperor was a pure-blooded fire Qilin divine beast. However, this black Qilin's bloodline was not inferior to the sky-scorching demon emperors at all. In fact, it was even superior. Ling Xiao could sense that this Ink Qilin was definitely an expert of the divine spirit realm. However, what surprised Ling Xiao was that the Ink Qilin actually didn't have any intelligence. It only had battle instincts. You're the one. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The appearance of the Ink Qilin immediately triggered a strong battle intent in his heart. He could use this Ink Qilin to test his four elephants hitting the sky. Roar! The black Qilin roared angrily and leaped up from the sea of clouds in an instant. It spat out a black divine light that contained a terrifying destructive power, and shot toward Ling Xiao. Rumble! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply, and he also threw out a punch. Golden lightning flashed. Ling Xiao's punch contained a vast dragon's might, as if it could trigger the power of the lightning in the void. It made this punch extremely ferocious and domineering. This was the pure strength of his physical body. Even if Ling Xiao did not use any super skills, he could kill a half-step divine spirit with just his physical strength alone. This was the strength of his physical body that had reached the pinnacle. Zhu Ganglai had even said that if one's physical body became a divine spirit, he could even evolve all kinds of incredible physical super skills. Rumble! Ling Xiao's punch contained the true intent of the true dragon. It was domineering and arrogant, and it directly shattered the black divine light. Ling Xiao leaped into the sky, and the power of his fist became more and more intense. It was strong and heavy, and it smashed toward the Ink Qilin's head. Roar! The Ink Qilin opened its mouth and suddenly released a terrifying sound wave, shattering the sea of clouds and turning the surrounding vegetation into dust. The sound wave wanted to drill into Ling Xiao's mind and shatter his primordial spirit. At the same time, the Ink Qilin's body flashed and shrunk to a height of about 10 feet. His legs crossed the sky, and he used the Qilin fist print to attack Ling Xiao. This was the Qilin clan's natal super skill. The Qilin fist print could suppress the heavens, and was extremely ferocious. If it was an ordinary person, they would have been severely injured by the Qilin's roar, and then killed by the Qilin fist print. However, although the Qilin's roar was powerful, it did not affect Ling Xiao at all. Rumble! Heaven and earth trembled violently. Ling Xiao and the Ink Qilin collided. As if the world had collapsed and countless stars were shattered, a terrifying divine light swept out. Ling Xiao and the Ink Qilin both trembled and were suddenly sent flying. This punch was actually a tie. Aha! Satisfying. Again. Ling Xiao laughed loudly, his eyes filled with soaring battle intent. His hands formed the ultimate fist print, and his blood chi filled the sky as he charged toward the ink Qilin again. The ink Qilin also roared angrily as if provoked, and also charged toward Ling Xiao. Rumble! Heaven and earth trembled violently. This ink Qilin's strength was too terrifying, and his physical body was extremely strong. An archaic mutant like the Blood Jade Spider would not even dare to attack in front of the ink Qilin. Ling Xiao and the ink Qilin fiercely collided. This was an ultimate battle of physical strength, and it was extremely terrifying. It caused the sea of clouds in all directions to boil and countless towering ancient trees to turn into dust. Ling Xiao and the ink Qilin fought for hundreds of moves, but there was still no clear winner. At this moment, Ling Xiao's battle intent had also risen to the extreme. His entire body exuded an unparalleled aura, and his essence, chi, and spirit reached the peak. 4 elephants sky-striking style. Ling Xiao slowly spat out 5 words. Rumble! Divine light shone around him, and the power of the god of war in his body began to gush out. A power that seemed to be able to destroy the world appeared between heaven and earth. Behind Ling Xiao, the mysterious scene of a true dragon soaring through the 9 heavens, a phoenix burning the rivers and boiling the sea, a white tiger slaughtering 10,000 creatures, and a black tortoise roaring in the sea appeared. As he punched out, the 4 elephants' divine light intertwined and gathered on his fist, forming a chaotic fist print. Chapter 1043. The Black Qilin seemed to have felt the threat of death. His eyes were filled with shock and anger as he roared crazily. His roar shook the entire area, almost shattering the void. Black divine power surged around the Black Qilin, forming a vast black sea behind him. The waves hit the 9 heavens, containing unparalleled divine power, and charged toward Ling Xiao. The Black Qilin was also very hot-blooded. Although he could feel the terror of Ling Xiao's punch, his ferocity was aroused and he began to fight back with all his might. Rumble! The Black Ocean was formed by the Black Qilin's divine power. There was even a full moon floating in it. It was the Black Qilin's monster pearl. The 4 elephants sky-striking style collided with the Black Ocean. It seemed to have solidified in the void. The light was dazzling as the vast fist print exploded. The 4 elephants' divine light pierced through the Black Ocean with unparalleled power, and then blasted towards the Black Qilin's monster pearl. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp. This punch seemed to have drained all the divine power in his body. The terrifying combat power was far beyond his imagination. The Black Qilin, who could fight him to a standstill, was like a piece of paper under this punch. It seemed like it would shatter at any time. The Black Qilin was about to be killed by Ling Xiao's punch. Whoosh! At this moment, a dazzling green light broke through the void like a blazing bolt of lightning. It blocked Ling Xiao's punch instantly. Ling Xiao felt as if he had struck an ancient divine mountain. Furthermore, there was a mysterious and vast whirlpool that had instantly reduced the power of his punch by 90%. Crack! That green light instantly shattered, and accompanied by a miserable scream, it flew out horizontally. It hurt so much. Get lost, you goddamn bastard. I won't let you off. The scream exploded in the void like a pig being slaughtered. Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. He took the opportunity to retract his punch, and gave up on attacking the Black Qilin. At this moment, Ling Xiao saw clearly that the scream came from a piece of rock. It looked flawless and was the size of a palm. However, it was full of spirituality and exuded a mysterious and vast aura. The green light just now was actually a green leaf that wrapped around the rock and blocked Ling Xiao's punch. The leaf was also shattered by Ling Xiao's punch. All that was left was a strange rock that was clutching its head and screaming in pain. This scene was extremely strange. The Black Qilin luckily escaped with his life. He looked at Ling Xiao with fear, and did not dare to stay any longer. He plunged into the sea of clouds, and did not dare to come out again. Who are you? Ling Xiao looked at the rock in front of him, and asked indifferently. For some reason, Ling Xiao actually felt a vast dragon's might from the stone. Its aura was extremely pure, even purer and stronger than Ling Xiao's dragon's might. I am your grandfather. Kid, I am your deads to die. Anyone who dares to hit my men must die. The Qilin anger to be to Zhao's twos to kill to death to with Zhao's. A piece of broken stone can actually speak. With Zhao's is. I to me to xiao 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 tus to me. To xiao to me to be made of. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Vigilance rose in his heart. The appearance of this rock was very strange. It was as if it came to stop him from killing the black qilin. Ling Xiao was suspicious of its origin. You're a chamber pot. Your whole family are chamber pots. Kid, the emperor asked me to invite you. How dare you hit me? Even the emperor could not beat me. You're dead. The rock jumped up in anger and said with anger and grievance. It was like a little wife who had been bullied. Who is the emperor? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he asked indifferently. You want to know who the emperor is? Kid, you offended me. Let me beat you up to vent my anger first. The rock said angrily. Then, it turned into a white stream of light and shot toward Ling Xiao at an extreme speed. Even Ling Xiao could not react to that speed. It hit Ling Xiao's head directly. Ling Xiao's vision turned black. He felt as if his head had been stepped on by 10,000 divine beasts. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. At the same time, Ling Xiao was shocked. The rock was too fast. It was so fast that it exceeded his reaction time. It was almost in front of him in an instant. Ouch, it hurts. Bastard, how can your head be so hard? It hurts so much. You and I can't live under the same sky. That strange rock also let out a miserable shriek as it cursed at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was so angry that he almost laughed. The rock attacked him and complained that his head was hard. However, Ling Xiao also felt that the rock was not very strong. It was even weaker than the black qilin. Ling Xiao's physical body could be said to be indestructible. His defense was comparable to a divine weapon. Naturally, it was incomparably hard. Whoosh! The strange rock seemed to have collided with Ling Xiao. In an instant, it turned into a stream of light and shot toward Ling Xiao. This time, Ling Xiao was already prepared, so he directly protected his head and used a teleportation secret technique to try and dodge. Boom! The rock still hit Ling Xiao's back, causing him to feel dizzy. He grimaced in pain, feeling incomparably uncomfortable. The rock let out another blood-curdling squeal like a pig being slaughtered. Bastard! I'll teach you a good lesson today. How dare you offend me again? The rock gnashed its teeth and charged toward Ling Xiao again. Bang! 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 Ling Xiao was hit by the rock more than 10 times. His head was dizzy and his body was in intense pain. Although he was not seriously injured, he felt extremely uncomfortable. The rock was too fast. It was even faster than Ling Xiao's secret teleportation skill. It moved with a thought and shuttled through the void like a fish in water. After being hit by the strange rock so many times, Ling Xiao did not dodge even once. Suddenly he began to feel angry. Longma, don't be rude to the guest. Have you forgotten the emperor's instructions? At this moment, a clear and pleasant voice sounded. In the distance, divine light filled the air and auspicious vapors rose. Heavenly flowers fell from the sky. 2 women in green dresses strolled down from the 9 heavens. The 2 women were beautiful and had extraordinary temperaments. They were tall and slender, and their skin was as white as jade. Their black hair danced in the wind, and there was a faint virgin fragrance. The 2 of them looked exactly the same. They were a pair of sisters. Chapter 1044. Lu Zhu Lu Huan, this bastard hit me first. He wants to kill the black qilin. Don't stop me. Let me beat him up first. When the rock saw the 2 women in green dresses coming over, it groaned and said, Longma, don't be rude. This is the Celestial Emperor's esteemed guest. You must have taken the initiative to offend the esteemed guest. Why aren't you revealing your true form? One of the ladies in green glared at the rock. Humph. The rock snorted, but it had no choice but to obey. With a shake of its body, it turned into a white long ma. It was a majestic long ma. Its body was snow white without any impurities. Its white fur was like satin. Its 4 limbs were powerful, and it stood in the air. There were 2 dragon horns on its forehead, emitting a dazzling golden light, making it look extremely mysterious. The white long ma looked lithe, majestic, and vigorous. It exuded an unruly wildness. Its lively eyes looked at Ling Xiao with hostility. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he was a little dumbfounded. That strange stone was actually transformed from a dragon horse? The Long Ma's transformation technique was superb. Even Ling Xiao did not notice the rock's true form. He could only vaguely feel a vast dragon aura. The Long Ma was a mutated divine beast born from the union of a divine dragon and a Pegasus. It was the mount of the ancient celestial emperor. The Long Ma inherited the powerful attack power of the dragon tribe, and also the unparalleled speed of the Pegasus. It was said to be able to move thousands of worlds and roam the heavens. Ling Xiao fell in love with the white Long Ma in front of him at first sight. If he could have a Long Ma as his mount, how impressive would that be? What are you looking at? Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. If you continue looking, I'll beat you up. The white Long Ma glared at Ling Xiao unhappily. Guest, please don't lower yourself to the Long Ma's level. He has a child's heart and doesn't mean any harm. Our celestial emperor would like to meet you. Please follow me. One of the ladies in green smiled. Although the two of them looked almost identical, their temperaments were slightly different. Lu Zhu, who was the woman in the dress who spoke, was natural and unrestrained, and incomparably gentle, while the other woman, Lu Huan, had a somewhat cold temperament. However, both of their cultivations were unfathomable. Even Ling Xiao could not see through them. Could it be that they were all at the divine spirit realm? Ling Xiao's heart trembled, but he maintained his composure and asked, "May I ask who the emperor is? Why do you want to see me?" Green Bead smiled faintly and said, "Esteemed guest, my emperor is the master of this mountain. He said that esteemed guest is related to an old friend of his, so he invited esteemed guest to meet him." Old friend? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This Kunwu Divine Mountain could be considered a small divine world. That emperor was actually the master of the Kunwu Divine Mountain. He must be an extraordinary existence. Ling Xiao's interest was piqued. Since that's the case, I dare not decline. Please lead the way. Ling Xiao thought about it and agreed. Thank you, young Master Ling. Young Master Ling, please follow me. Green Bead smiled faintly. Her smile was radiant and indescribable. She turned and floated away with Lu Huan. That direction was actually the peak of the Kunwu Divine Mountain. Humph. The white dragon horse snorted and looked at Ling Xiao with hostility. Then it turned around and followed after Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's gaze was calm and deep. He looked at the Kunwu Divine Mountain in the depths of the clouds and flew over as well. The Kunwu Divine Mountain was over 1,000,000 feet tall, towering into the depths of the starry sky. It was vast and majestic, shrouded in endless clouds. Under Green Bead and Lu Huan's lead, Ling Xiao flew towards the peak of the Kunwu Divine Mountain. Along the way, Ling Xiao could feel that there were many powerful ancient ferocious beasts in the Kunwu Divine Mountain. There were also many ancient killing formations filled with killing intent. Some of the auras even made him tremble in fear. That kind of power was definitely above the divine realm. However, they seemed to be very fearful of the aura on Green Bead and Lu Huan's body. They did not dare to attack Ling Xiao and the rest, all retreating. Heading towards the peak of the Kunwu Divine Mountain, Ling Xiao could also feel that the Kunwu Divine Mountain was shrouded in a layer of powerful divine Dao Law. But that divine Dao Law was somewhat strange. It was like it lacked some kind of spirituality and was very mysterious. Ling Xiao was naturally unable to comprehend these divine Dao Laws. But he could faintly feel that something was not right. Such a Kunwu Divine Mountain appearing in these ancient ruins was a very strange thing in the first place. Under Ling Xiao and the rest flying at full speed, they reached the peak of the Kunwu Divine Mountain, that was over 1,000,000 feet tall very quickly. Whoosh! When Ling Xiao passed through the layers of clouds, the scene before his eyes suddenly opened up. Above his head was an endless starry sky. Each star was like a resplendent pearl, sprinkling down rays of starlight, converging into a vast galaxy. And under the starry sky, there was an ancient tree growing on the peak of the Kunwu Divine Mountain. Under the ancient tree was a stone table and several stone stools. A figure dressed in white had his back to Ling Xiao, sitting under the ancient tree and drinking tea. The fragrance of tea permeated the air, and the sea of clouds rose in front of him. Above his head was a sky full of stars. There was a kind of lonely and transcendent concept. That white-robed figure was like a celestial emperor sitting alone for eternity. It was lonely at the top, lonely and lonely. His entire person merged into one with the picture scroll in front of him. Ling Xiao's gaze shook, and he suddenly thought of a word. Dao. What was Dao? Ling Xiao suddenly felt that this picture scroll in front of him was that mysterious Dao. You're here. A mellow and gentle voice sounded. That white-robed figure slowly turned his head. It was a spirited and handsome middle-aged man. He looked like a scholar from the mortal world. His appearance was strange, and his gaze was deep and gentle. It was as if the starry sky and the boundless world were contained within it. He glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently, and Ling Xiao suddenly felt as if he had been seen through. Even the wordless heavenly book in his sea of consciousness trembled slightly, as if it had been frightened. Green bead, green Huan, and even the white dragon horse didn't dare to be presumptuous. When they saw this white-robed man, they slowly bowed, their eyes full of reverence, and then silently retreated. Your Excellency is the Celestial Emperor that Miss Greenbead spoke of? May I know why the Celestial Emperor wants to see me? Ling Xiao's gaze was calm as he slowly said, but his heart was in turmoil. At this moment, facing this mysterious Celestial Emperor, Ling Xiao actually felt like an ant looking up at a divine dragon. This Celestial Emperor was extremely dangerous, far more powerful than any of the powerful enemies he had encountered. Even the war god, Injiotian, Dark Sky Demon, and the others had never given Ling Xiao such a feeling. And the wordless heavenly book actually trembled because of his gaze. This person must be an unimaginable existence. But when did such an earth-shaking figure appear in the mortal world? Please sit. Let's talk slowly. The Celestial Emperor smiled and gestured for Ling Xiao to sit. His aura seemed very gentle, without a trace of an expert's fluctuation. But every move of his contained the heavenly Tao, containing an indescribable rhythm and beauty, as if he was born like this. Ling Xiao didn't feel any hostility. Or rather, even if the Celestial Emperor in front of him had hostility, he couldn't feel it. Thank you. Ling Xiao calmed his mind, cupped his hands at the Celestial Emperor, and then sat down. Chapter 1045. There was a cup of tea in front of the Emperor Lord and Ling Xiao. The tea was a faint purple color. It was crystal clear like a lake, and it contained traces of blazing lightning. Moreover, there was a purple tea leaf in the tea. There were mysterious patterns on it, like the lightning in the sky, and it contained some kind of majestic Taoist rhyme. There was also a fragrant smell that wafted over, lifting one's spirits. However, Ling Xiao felt a strong sense of destruction from this cup of tea. Ling Xiao, do you dare to drink this tea? The Emperor Lord smiled faintly and glanced at Ling Xiao. Why wouldn't I dare? I'll gladly accept. Ling Xiao smiled freely. Although this cup of tea made him feel an extreme sense of danger, he still picked it up, bowed to the Emperor Lord, and drank it in one gulp. Boom. As soon as the cup of tea entered his stomach, a vast and terrifying power of lightning exploded in Ling Xiao's body. The power of lightning contained extreme destructive power, and it began to wantonly destroy his meridians and flesh. Ling Xiao immediately sat down cross-legged, and began to use the sky-devouring secret skill to dissolve the power of this cup of tea. Rumble. Terrifying thunder roared from within Ling Xiao's body. His entire body was surrounded by blazing lightning. Streaks of purple light lingered around him like divine chains of order. However, the cup of tea contained the most boundless destructive power. It was so terrifying that even the sky-devouring secret skill couldn't completely dissolve it. In just a few moments, Ling Xiao's body actually began to shatter like glass. A fatal danger shrouded his heart. Ling Xiao was calm and didn't panic at all. The wordless heavenly book between his eyebrows began to emit a gentle light, and it instantly spread into his body. Boom. The wordless heavenly book shone brightly. The boundless destructive power actually melted slowly like snow, and the wordless heavenly book began to devour and refine it. Moreover, the wordless heavenly book didn't devour the power in the cup of tea this time. It only refined it and fed it back to Ling Xiao. A vast life force mixed with powerful divine Tao laws fused into Ling Xiao's body, causing his body to slowly strengthen. The power of lightning constantly stimulated Ling Xiao's flesh and blood, causing his body to continue to transform. It really is the wordless heavenly book. The emperor glanced at Ling Xiao's forehead and sighed softly. He just sat there and looked at Ling Xiao quietly. There was a trace of nostalgia and melancholy in his eyes. Just like that, Ling Xiao used almost a month to refine and absorb all the energy in this cup of tea. A month later, Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. It was as if 2 bolts of lightning shot out from his eyes, containing a destructive aura. "Thank you for your gift, Your Majesty. May I know the name of this tea?" Ling Xiao bowed solemnly to the emperor, and said slowly. Only after he had completely refined the energy within the cup of tea did he realize how precious it was. If the ice heart tea and the divine origin fruit had increased Ling Xiao's physical strength by 1%, this cup of tea had increased Ling Xiao's physical strength by 1-fold. This was a difference of 100 times. Compared to this cup of tea, the ice heart tea was simply an ordinary tea. There was no way they could be compared at all. However, the ice heart tea was already an unparalleled divine medicine. How precious was this cup of tea that far surpassed the ice heart tea? This tea is called the Heavenly Tao Thunder Calamity Tea. It was given to me by an old friend countless years ago. I used the 9 heavens divine thunder liquid as the water, and the void fire to brew the tea. After 100 years, I finally obtained this pot of Heavenly Tao Thunder Calamity Tea. Other than me, you are the second person who is fortunate enough to drink this tea. The emperor smiled faintly. Your Majesty is really skillful. I admire you. Ling Xiao said slowly with a trace of surprise in his eyes. Regardless of whether it was the 9 heavens divine thunder liquid, the void fire, or the Heavenly Tao Thunder Calamity Tea, Ling Xiao had never heard of them. However, they should be treasures that only existed in the realm of gods. To obtain a pot of tea after 100 years, this was really amazing. The Heavenly Tao Thunder Calamity Tea isn't something that ordinary people are qualified to drink. Without the cultivation of a divine king, those who drink this tea will suffer the pain of the Heavenly Tao Thunder Calamity Tea piercing their hearts, and will definitely die. Without the wordless heavenly book in your body, you would be a dead man now. The emperor looked deeply at Ling Xiao and said, Your Majesty can see the wordless heavenly book in my body. Do you know the Scarlet Dragon War God? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he asked slowly. The emperor in front of him was unfathomable. Ling Xiao was not surprised that he could see the wordless heavenly book in his body at a glance. Moreover, the emperor wanted to see him because of an old friend. Ling Xiao was afraid that it was the Scarlet Dragon War God. With the emperor's unfathomable strength, perhaps only the Scarlet Dragon War God, who led the heavens a million years ago, was qualified to be his old friend. The Scarlet Dragon Kid? Of course I know. A million years ago, he was the first person to drink this tea. The emperor smiled slightly. Ling Xiao's heart moved. Listening to the emperor's tone, he treated the Scarlet Dragon War God like an elder to a junior. Could it be that the emperor was stronger than the Scarlet Dragon War God? One had to know, Scarlet Dragon War God was already a divine king realm powerhouse. And this emperor, could it be that he was a saint who could dominate a region in the divine world? Ling Xiao guessed in his heart, but on the surface, he did not show any surprise. May I ask the emperor, what is the magical effect of the Heavenly Tao Thunder Tribulation Tea? Why did the emperor bestow this tea to me? Ling Xiao asked calmly. The emperor smiled faintly and said, The Heavenly Tao Thunder Tribulation Tea contains the power of the Heavenly Tao Thunder Tribulation. What you have refined now is only 10 to 20%. The majority of the power is hidden in your body, which will make your physical body stronger and stronger. Since you want to walk the path of becoming a god, the Heavenly Tao Thunder Tribulation Tea may save you 100 years of effort. As for the specific effect, you need to slowly figure it out yourself. As for why I bestow you this tea, the emperor glanced at Ling Xiao and said, That is because you and I are fated to be qualified to drink this tea. Ling Xiao asked, May I know why the emperor wants to see me? Ling Xiao had some doubts in his heart. The emperor in front of him was unfathomable. He could crush Ling Xiao with one finger. With such terrifying strength, what else could he need Ling Xiao's help for? Do you know the origin of the wordless heavenly book? The emperor did not answer Ling Xiao's question, but smiled faintly. Not too sure. Junior only knows that the wordless heavenly book is the treasure left behind by the Scarlet Dragon War God. It contains 108 secret arts. It is incomparably mysterious. Rumor has it that it is related to the Devil World. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment and said slowly, "The origin of the wordless heavenly book is far beyond your imagination. Even I only know a little. You don't need to delve into its true origin, but you just need to remember one thing. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.